everybody. It is so good to see all of your beautiful, non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to Shoot Your One Shot 2.4, the fourth episode of our second version of Shoot Your One Shot right here, right now on Transplanar RPG, When Chaos Reigns, a Jaran Cotter backstory. I am your GM and creative producer for the evening. My name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chang, BYCONNIECHANG. But before I get a little bit too ahead of myself, I'm gonna go ahead and pass along introductions to one of our lovely guests here, Navar.
Hey, I am Navar, pronouns he, him. I am the creator and host of the Secret Nerd podcast. You can find me everywhere for the podcast, Secret NRD Social on Twitter, and Navar SNP on Twitter for my personal stuff. And I'm going to pass it over to Dana.
Thank you. I am Dana Ebert. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a full-time TTRPG content creator, best known for my work on Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You can find me on most social media as Mistress Dana RPG, or you can find my website at danaebertpdx.com. I'm going to pass it off to Hamna.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. You can find me over on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all the different projects I'm a part of. And today I will be playing the titular Jaran. Well, I guess not titular, but I'm playing Jaran Cotter, who uses they, he pronouns, and I will pass it over to Vic.
Hi guys, I'm Victor. I use he and they pronouns. You can find me and most of my upcoming stuff, because I'm between projects, but soon, at Villain Vicencio on Twitter. I'm also starting to do DMing on SPG. So if you guys want to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians, take a look, see if it fits in your schedule. And I will pass that along to Kai.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. I'm just super excited to be here. I'll talk about all the crazy stuff I'm doing later. But in the meantime, I'm going to pass it back to Connie.
Thank you. I'm gonna yoink that from you, Kai, and say hello. Welcome in, friends. If you're here, you're on Transplanar RPG's channel. We are an all-transgender, POC-led, dark fantasy, original D&D show set in a homebrew, non-colonial, anti-orientalist world. Our main campaign, The Second Stranger, streams Saturdays at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. I've muted my cough. But if you're here, you're not for The Second Stranger necessarily. You are here for Shoot Your One Shot, which is a series of 7 one-shots set in Andake with a rotating cast of guests who all use the hashtag #BIMPOC at Transplanar RPG this past year. This incredible event hosts over 30 amazing players in our very own homebrew world of Andake, and we are so glad that all of you are joining us. Our next game is going to be this coming Tuesday, October 18th at the same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, with the Cosmic Convergence, which is the name of Gentle's one-shot T-date with Root Sweetbreeze himself between Arc 5 and 6. But for now, let's get into details about this particular one-shot. So, donations. 100% of all tips raised tonight are going to go directly toward paying and supporting all 30 plus of the incredible BIMPOC performers involved in Shoot Your One-Shot. We do have incentives, so if you donate $25 or more, you can grant a PC of your choice inspiration. $50 or more will grant a PC of your choice an auto crit, and if you're feeling particularly evil, you can give that to me, GM Connie. With that out of the way, let's get into content warnings for this episode. Oh, yes, and use !to donate in chat for that donation link, as well as a full list of those incentives. But yes, let's get into content warnings for this episode. CWs include fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglements, death and killing, and depictions of battle and political conflict, as well as heights and falling. So use !CW at any time in chat for a full list of these content warnings, and nope, that's it actually, because this is not The Second Stranger. I'm so used to the spiel. So yes, please take care of yourselves safety-wise and use !CW liberally. With that out of the way, I'm gonna get into the headspace and we can get started. We open on 4 dreams. This is the first. The sun is a beating, lying heart in the middle of a blue-washed sky. Light pounds mercilessly onto the heat-bleached felt and fever-rich hide of the Gurs clustered around a speck of green in the Tanushlek desert. Standing in a circle, feet hot with sand, shoulders tanned with the sun, are the 122 members of the Alvaras clan. Hamini Agan, your leader and beloved, chants a song in composed hope. Hamini Agan is a soft, plover-like Aarakocra person with white feathers beading their throat and a band of black and burgundy across their eyes. Her face is raised toward the sun in supplication, and the rest of your clan chants with her. The prayer is lilting. It is warm. It is dry. It is the kiss of Galtanger upon your weathered fur. And as you chant together, you will your words to reach the ears of the celestial emissary whose help your clan desperately needs. Without divine assistance, the Kagan's campaign of blessing and bounty will surely never reach your small village, especially not now, during the drought. Liho, the Agan's second in command and your other beloved, twitches their long, downturned ear in her direction. Liho is a drow. Roughened and somber, their gray skin darker around the shoulders and the arms where the sun kisses them. Their hair is long and red as fire, twinning down their back in identical braids. Together, Hamini Agan, Liho, and your entire village pray to an angel. O great sun, O great sky, bless us light that never dies. Bestow your gift within one soul, so Kagan notice be foretold. A thought crosses your mind. If anyone were worthy to receive this gift, to be blessed with enough divinity for Toqtoa herself to notice, to serve as a dignitary between Clan Alvaras and the Kagan's clan, it would be Liho, or Hamini, maybe you. The sun flares. Your home gasps, sighs. And then the sun turns black, and everything goes hot. And Ole, as you die, as every single member of Clan Alvaras dies, your bodies incinerating, your bones turning to ash, your souls scorching alive inside your minds, you hear a voice. In that knife's edge between the now and the after, between life and death, you hear an angel's voice. As warm as the sun, as dry as a bone. Oh, child. Oh, misbegotten prayer. Your family done did it wrong. You pray for salvation, for notice, for power. No. I smell it like blood on the vine. The darkness in your Hamini's heart, in your Liho's soul. You pray for your village to become something while harboring selfishness within. Of course your prayer would backfire. But I am a generous angel, a merciful emissary. I spare you, the worthy one, the selfless one, the blessed one, if you shall take my gift. What say you, Ole Alvaras? Shall you die here with the rest of these selfish wretches and pass into oblivion? Or do you rise as a servant of the bleached skull? And Ole, flashing like a ray of sunlight into your mind's eye, you see it. The angel, A tall, sun-bleached skeleton with the skull of an ox, horns draped with blue columbines, yellow poppies, geraniums, desert flowers native to Kirtal. And inside its exposed ribcage, beating, thrumming, is a miniature sun. And Ole, tell me, what oath rings through your soul as you accept your new undeath?
I serve you. I'll serve you.
An admirable and correct response, beloved. And with that, you feel the embrace of the sun wrap around your bones, around your soul. You lift up off of this now desiccated, charred cup of what used to be your village, of what used to be thriving gers, of desert-kissed flowers and geraniums blooming, but now just a plate of pure blackness, of a sun scorching the earth. You lift up off of it, your eyes shoot open, and you become its servant. We open on 4 dreams. This is the second. The whispering autumn leaves of Atatukai Forest tell a story of masks, a story of piercing masks. In late fall, when the rivers run cold as a hunter's blood, when the berries whisper of a long dark, that's when the shadows come out to play. Skulking in the hollows of homes, in the tenebrous gaps between roots curling through the soil, is the watcher. Is you, Obi. You fold yourself into the secret places, into the places no lord thinks to look, like a hidden bet in the jacket pocket of a bookie. You listen, you look, you learn. You learn the masks your tribespeople wear. The mask of the good son, the mask of the strong parent, the mask of the peerless gatherer. You see the truths they shrug on and off, the lies they take off like winter robes. You hear the fears they confess in the ears of their beloved when they think no one else is listening. You see the little hypocrisies they carry, like stones in their shoes when they think no one else is watching. And you witness the infinite, ever-changing versions of themselves they revel in discarding, in creating, in transforming. All of them. The lords, the heads, the hunters, the harvesters, the servants, the Aransa. Every single member of your tribe, every friend, every peer, every ally, every enemy has a myriad secret truths, secret lives, secret joys. It was fun for you at first, let's say. An interesting hobby, a way to pass the time between hunts. People watching, I mean. But as the autumn leaves whisper, they tell a story, Obi. A story of a witness on the outside of other people's warmth. So tell me, Obi, what do you not have, but so desperately seek by watching other people?
Obi seeks true confidence. Obi watches these nobles and these hunters and sees them live their lives confidently, chins up, eyes looking forward, watching faces, talking, grasping others, and wants that, and watches it until he can learn to fake it.
Yes, Obi, yes. The whispering leaves of Atatukai Wood do tell a story, don't they? A story of a perennial outsider. A story of a perennial liar. After all, the United Tribes of Jukai are home to 2 of you. Not just Obi, but you too, Dorado. We open on 4 dreams, and this is the 3rd. You, Dorado, You and your book of lies. You and your eager smile, your river-quick eyes. Your journey full of switchbacks and false leads and hairpin turns and hidden pits. Even from the beginning, your tree grew crooked. An enlistment in a liar's guild, operated by a man who styled himself Dalapathy Saeed, one name of many. An ascent through the ranks, a natural knack for grifting, bullshitting. Lessons in cunning passed down the wire. You excelled at this. Excelled at lying in a way that didn't feel like lying. Lying in a way that came easy, in a way that hunting never came easy. Your family shamed. The trophies of beasts they'd slain shamed. You come from a proud lineage, a tall, spanning oak of warriors, of predators, of monster hunters. Your family name meant something. It meant fear. It meant power. It meant conquest and domination. It meant owlbears trapped in cages, manticores with stingers plucked, sphinxes with tongues cut out. But like I said, from the start, your tree grew crooked. There was something about the spilling of a blood of a beast that never quite rang right to you. There was something in that gleaming eye of an owlbear, in the bristling fur of that manticore, in the regal countenance of that sphinx that rang deeper in your bones than violence ever did. And then, it. The open door, the opportunity, the job posting. By fate or instinct or just plain old luck, you found the call for an expert monsterologist. The pay was good. The title, incomparable. Monsterologist. That felt right. Better than monster hunter. So, Dorado, as you snatch that job posting off Dalapathy's desk and abscond into the night, illuminate me. What lie did you tell yourself then, and do you still tell yourself now, about who you really are?
I'm a fast learner. I will always land on my feet. I mean, my older brother does. Why can't I?
The more you say it, Dorado, the more you hope it becomes true. We open on 4 dreams, and this is the 4th. In the darkness of night, the stars have always been your guide. Infinite, gleaming, immaculate starlight. Every point a story, every story a song, every song a portent that rings through your soul. The prophets of the slumbering palace had drilled dreams into you since birth. The omens, the signs, the paralyses, how to read them, how to feel them, how to dream them. While your peers took to sleep like flame to ash, you found your eyes starbound. Winking, glimmering, whispering stars, showing you shapes in negative space, filling your thoughts with new constellations. You learned their names, every one, the 8, the emissaries, and devised your own for constellations untold. The stars have always sang to you, have always shown you paths, knucklebones, prophecies. But in this dream, in this final dream, funny how it always comes back to sleep, the stars begin to go out. One by one, in systematic lines from north to south, the stars wink out, their whispers silenced, their light extinguished. You've been here before. You've seen this omen, this final portent. You've felt the vanishing in your bones, in the thick of your blood. And you see something else, too, Sules. A tiger-furred woman's face cracked open in shock, a body shattered, a life taken. So it was, so it is, so it shall be. This is the last omen from the stars that I've always whispered to you. So tell me, Sules, What emotion overwhelms you as the stars run out?
Loss. For even the oceans are pulled by celestial bodies. I've never thought that we were any different. But without them, what will we do? Celeste is confused. They've never questioned the stars or fate. They've simply followed it, been its instrument, its vessel. And they're not sure what to make of this vision.
Confusion, loss, and a bone-deep, scale-flaking, marrow-aching loss subsumes you, whelms you, consumes you. And then waking each of you is chaos. Your leader is a half-tabaxi monster hunter who resembles a tiger in every sense of the word. Long-limbed, wiry, muscular, ropes of knotted muscle, leashing with orange fur and black stripes and scars. But more than just appearance, Chaos carries herself like a tiger. Limber, lurking, a raw, fearsome strength bubbling underneath a lean, hungry surface. Her black hair is short, wiry, cut bluntly at the jaw. Orange tufts stick out in unruly little copses from her neck, her elbows, the backs of her ankles. Chaos wears studded leather armor and carries a massive glaive on her back. And her lithe, muscular silhouette is limned by the light of the rising sun. Galtanger's radiance spreads across the Tanush-like desert in long, warm fingers of luminescence. Shadows scurry and retreat from the sand. Heat warms the cold, cold air from last night. And Chaos wakes each of you by strolling up to your tents, rolling up the flaps, and shouting in a voice that could wake a slumbering, hibernating owlbear, "Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon!" What do each of you do?
Better actually be eggs and bacon.
Ole, ole, I promise you. And I did it just the way you like. I put the little eggs in the shape of eyes, and I put 2 pieces of bacon up so they look like a smiley face.
Perfect. Morning.
Morning. And Chaos sort of like continues rolling up your tent flap as you get out from underneath it. And Ole, as you do, what do we see?
Scampering out of this tent is a rather diminutive in form Harangon. One of his ears no longer sits upright any longer, and he bears the scorch marks of the beautiful radiant sun. His keen eyes are always looking about, looking at the horizon, but they are bright, happy. He has desert-toned clothing to rebuff the sun a little bit, even though he welcomes the warmth. And he scampers out with his long hands wrapped freshly, and goes to immediately eat food.
Yeah, there's like a campfire that's already going, and it smells like bacon and eggs, and oh, it smells so good. And you have a plate set out, and you're like, I think Chaos carries these stones in her pack that are like sitting stones for each of you that she like carved each of your names into, and you have a little like seat planted in the middle of the sand with your name carved into it, and there's a plate of eggs and bacon set out for you.
He immediately hops onto it and doesn't actually sit like a person. He tucks his knees into his armpits and just starts digging in.
Yeah, you like start scarfing and just like getting these eggs and bacon down. And Chaos turns around and observes the other tents. Well, come on. Ole's already getting a head start on all of you. Where's the rest of you?
And
God.
go ahead. I was going to say, I think after hearing Chaos do it one time, Obi, who is a light sleeper and very perceptive, wakes up. He doesn't need to hear it again. That's already too loud and too much for this hour. So he gets up. You see a tall, about 6'4", half Leonin, half human, sit up from his bed, and they are putting on their leather armor. They have this vest of red leather that has two sheaths for their short swords built into the back of it, kind of like a plated back. And they are wearing these like loose, sturdy pants with these high knee boots. They have dreadlocks coming back in a mane that they have bound with a leather thong, basically, that's tied around to just hold it all back. And before getting to that, they actually take off a silk scarf that was protecting their hair while they slept. They have these eyes that basically have a natural eyeliner like a lion. They have just black around the eyes, the golden eyes. And when they smile, you can see two very sharp canines on their beardless face. Steps out, sees chaos. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Obi.
Hey, I actually did ask you to maybe not do that so loud every morning. You literally could just come pat our legs and it would be just as effective. I am so certain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I wake you in the middle of your dreams?
Yes, you did. I'm sure you woke all of us, but yeah, specifically me, as you're talking to me right now, yes, I am awake because of what you did, and it was during my dreams. And he just kind of like looks off to the middle distance.
Yeah, Chaos sort of cocks her head to the side and clocks it. Like, you get the sense that nothing you say even between the lines really gets past her. And we almost sort of see in the corner of the screen, like, Chaos will remember this. But she doesn't bring it up. She just goes, "You're right, Obi, you did bring that up last night, and I did forget that you didn't want to be woken up with a shout, and for that, I deeply apologize. Can you forgive me?"
Of course, absolutely.
How
breakfast
about
is ready.
makeup gifts as breakfast?
Yes. And
they pull out a plate for you.
Yeah, takes it, kind of does like a quick head bow to say thank you, and goes to sit next to Ole on our little seats.
Morning.
Nice to see you up. Sorry it had to be you first.
Said I was already awake. Don't need much sleep anymore.
No. I mean, you know how it is. When it gets so quiet in the middle of the night, it is so hard to sleep. I ended up actually wrapping a blanket around my head to make a muffled sound on my ears. It was it's a lot, but yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
I could always go back to singing while you're all sleeping.
That actually, I appreciate the gesture. That's worse.
All right.
Because then I'll listen to every word you say, and I will be so focused on that I won't sleep.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, eat
I
up.
appreciate the gesture. Yeah, thank you.
Well, maybe we could try some white noise. I hear that's a new invention down south at Uhanahi. This kind of, sound that blocks out other sound but isn't too intrusive. Dorado, have you ever heard of this thing? Dorado?
Dorado comes out like looking kind of like a mess. What you see come out of the tent flap is a very tired looking like a short rotund it's very soft looking blue tiefling with black horns that look like a goat's that curl backwards, in the brightest, most ostentatious little like silk silk robe. And he has like a little band around his waist, and on it is like a little hand pan that is in the shape of a turtle. And he thrums his fingers against it for a second to make a couple little sounds, and he's just like white noise. I think they say like the ocean, like a
Yeah, exactly. You're so smart, Dorado. You always know a little bit of something about it, a little bit of everything.
And I think he looks really guilty when Chaos says that. he has in his other hand he has a book that is bound together very recklessly, with different size like sheafs of paper and everything, and like ink stains on the sides of the pages. And Dorado like sort of clutches it a little bit against his chest and heads towards breakfast. And he looks like Chaos, and he's just like, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I feel every morning. Grateful to be alive. Grateful you're in my life. And Chaos slings a big, long, lanky arm around your shoulder and pulls you in close. Gives you like a nice side hug, and then slips a plate of eggs and bacon into your hands.
And Dorado takes it happily, but there's this look of concern that doesn't leave his face, like this underlying like guilt that he can't seem to shake. But like he hugs back as best as he can with his arms full, and like goes to take his seat next to Ole.
Dorado, I was actually saving this seat next to me on this side for you.
Did I look wrong? And he looks down, and it's Celeste.
I mean, you can sit wherever you want. No, it's fine. You can sit.
No,
there. It's cool. I
should sit on my seat. I'm sorry. I didn't sleep well.
We can always switch the seats. But,
you know, we don't have to sit in the same place. We're gonna move again. That's how camping works. So like when we
got her name.
I mean, okay.
And Dorado like awkwardly like shuffles around and like picks everything up and then moves around and sits next to Obi, and it's just like, yeah, this one's better for my bottom anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I figured like I like to sit in the same place. I just assume. I'm sorry, you know. It just we've always sat together since we were kids, so I just assumed that's where you were going to sit over here. But I'm sorry for making it a thing. Like I didn't
Obi, it's okay.
Okay. All right.
Come on. You have to be the older brother. Don't be so anxious.
There's only 5 seats. It's like we're all sitting next to each other, anyways.
That is a very logical point. I appreciate that.
Also, you're the tall one, so you can just sort of like put your legs everywhere and be next to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could make myself pretty tall, and Ole kind of stretches himself out. And at the most, he's like 5.5 feet tall when he stretches all the way out. He's not big.
Yeah, I think Dorado is 5 foot nothing. So he just nods. He's like, like an extra 2 inches. That clearance could mean everything, honestly.
It's actually really not a good idea to stretch that much around a fire. But okay. Yeah. You definitely got longer in that moment.
Yeah. What am I gonna do? Get more scorched? Come
on. That's dark, but I respect it.
That's a good one, Ole. Yeah. You should write that one down, Dorado. In your jokes section in your book.
So I was like, I don't have I have a wit section.
Joke section.
The wit humor joke section.
I don't understand the difference.
Listen, when you go to a monsterology eloquence college, it matters. It matters. You could do a joke, but like it might not cause the same sort of damage that a witty remark might.
Oh yeah. And Dorado would know. I mean, they do have a double major in monsterology and eloquence. So
Obi is stuffing his face right now and ignoring this conversation.
You know, the only thing that's wrong about this situation is that Celeste is in here.
And where is she? Celeste.
Celeste is not one to allow anyone to hurry them, so they are last to rise. They're one of the lizard folk, tall and wiry with azure scales. Dark, cool-colored robes hang loose from their narrow frame, and they lean heavily on a walking stick of gnarled white wood. From beneath a shawl embroidered with silver thread, their white cataract eyes seem to look past who they're speaking to, as if fixed on something far in the distance. Their face looks troubled, and as they wander through the kitchen, they ignore what's been laid out, grabbing a number of raw eggs from the supplies, sitting down in their seat, and delicately cracking them open to suck out the golden goodness inside.
Oh, yeah. You should actually use this crate. And Chaos walks over to this little, like, kitchenette area that's been set up, in this camp. It's like a camp in the middle of the desert, but you've been camping here for the night, so there have been supply boxes set out for you. And she grabs a box that actually has some, like, mist coming off the top. I used some of that, what was it? Those ice sigils that we bartered one of my javelins for, to refrigerate these eggs, so they're nice and toasty and cool. For you.
That has been one of your better investments. Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, we gotta keep the prophet happy. Speaking of which, how are the prophets profiting?
Well, I've looked at the ledgers and our profits aren't doing bad at all, but unfortunately, the prophecies that your prophet has seen are confusing, troubling. The stars whisper strange things lately.
Really? Well, we've got time. What do they whisper?
Oh, weal and woe. It's always weal and woe.
Wheel and woe. Wheel and woe. I don't exactly know what that means, but I'm gonna trust you to interpret these omens in our favor, Sules. How's everyone's breakfast going? Are we starting to fill up on our tummies?
I don't think I could pick another speck off this plate, and the whole like plate is fully empty.
Yeah, and Chaos, like without missing a beat, pulls out like a second plate of like backup eggs and bacon for you for the road. You know, and like hands it to you.
Yeah.
Dorado has been pushing food around his plate to make it seem like he's eaten more than he has. Just very, very troubled, very guilty. And then when the second he saw Sules, Sules knows his secret. After a recent event, there was a very sort of torn up confession, and I think Dorado just sort of like is just unable to eat this morning. He keeps looking
Totally.
at Celeste.
They definitely notice. Is everything all right, Dorado?
Oh, I just I couldn't really sleep well yesterday. Just strange dreams.
Curious. You know, I was something of a dream prophet before I joined the Tigers. Tell me of your dream.
Dorado looks around the area and then looks like sort of like lingering on Obi and then Celeste, and is just like, I don't keep anything from you all. I just it's a little awkward. Memories of things that I can't take back.
Well, the stars are the great watchers of the past and the present. And some say the future, which is how they know so much of it. I will see what they have to say for you.
Okay, well, maybe they could just be a little bit less of some voyeurs. I don't know.
Obi looks at you with side eye, like as the resident voyeur is just like, what?
Listen,
The resident voyeur.
yeah, Dorado catches a look. It's like, Obi, you don't, not like regular people watching, like voyeurism. You know, when you, no, I'm not going to discuss this with you.
I mean, I'll ask later. I'll just ask later. It's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
What about you, Sulis? How are you this morning? You seem a bit down.
I am doing all right. It's like I said, strange dreams. It seems Dorado is not the only one assailed by them.
but I think things will be fine. I see good and bad, but no reason to leave our path.
It's good. Especially because
That's all I
I
need.
don't want to be the one to try and convince that one.
And that's all I need. If our prophet says that the road we're on is still a good road, then I trust it. And hey, life is full of weal and woe, ups and downs. That's just how life is. If Celeste came out saying everything's all weal or everything's all woe, then that would be cause for concern. But he didn't, so we're good. Speaking of which, everyone good to start cleaning up and packing out?
Sure.
Yeah. Dorado, you want me to take that plate for you?
Yeah, and I'll get started on packing stuff up, and like Dorado
Takes it, eats the
almost
food.
almost shoves the plate at Obi, and Dorado usually doesn't. Dorado usually does something to like get out of the heavy lifting. Dorado's not that person, not with this silk. But for once, Dorado is like rushing over to the packing, actually lifting and putting stuff away and in boxes.
Yeah, I think because as all of you start packing up the camp, Chaos, who's so animated and lanky and like talks a lot and is very cheerful, surprisingly doesn't join to help. Actually, she's just sort of like sat down on her own rock that has like her own name engraved on it, and she's like helping direct traffic because she seems a little out of breath from cooking breakfast, from getting everyone together, and she keeps sort of like touching a furred hand over her heart and breathing kind of heavy, you know, and then like steadying it. Because, you know, after everything that happened, well, during the incident, Dorado, her heart hasn't been quite very good. And she can't get too much into the fray. So as all of you continue to pack up the camp, Chaos does say, you know, I had an interesting dream too, and maybe if I tell it to you all, it'll help make the boring work of putting things away and doing the chores pass a little bit quicker. I had a dream about one of my exes. It was a pretty bad, pretty nasty dream, I can't lie. I've told you all about her. Mercy. Remember her?
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Forget her. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've heard that she catches monsters just to release them on people who won't pay the monster capture.
Dorado, where'd you
Sounds
hear
right.
that from?
Oh, the last time we passed through.
Oh, you might not be wrong.
Didn't you say that she sleeps with everyone in her group?
Not everyone.
I-
Just the
I
pretty
feel
ones,
like you.
according to her.
Okay.
You know,
I
that,
mean,
that
for-
actually makes a rumor make sense that I heard that they
Yeah?
eat their dead. Maybe it was
Well,
different. Yeah.
Mercy doesn't exactly waste anything. I mean, she had a pretty rough upbringing, which, you know, I understand. But the whole thing, like cool motive, still murder, you know. Just because you were hurt in the past doesn't really justify you to hurt people in the present.
Mhm.
Yeah, it took me a long time to learn that, being with her.
We're glad you're here instead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ole. I'm glad you're here too.
Thanks.
Well, you have
Yeah.
to stay around for a long time so we can pick up more rumors and laugh about them.
Yeah.
I mean, most
oh,
rumors
yeah.
have an ounce of truth to them. I think that's a thing that people have said around me.
Is it?
Wisely said, Obi. Wisely said. All
GM, with passive perception of 18, would Obi notice Chaos touching her chest and like having physical ailment concerns?
Yes, Chaos doesn't really hide that from
Okay.
you all. You know, she's just sort of like taking deep breaths in and trying to like calm her heart down, because I think the specific injury she had was she was gored through the chest and her heart was damaged. But through some like very quick first aid and triage, she was healed, but her heart is still like scarred and like quite weak and still
Gotcha.
recovering.
Okay. Yeah, I think just as he like passes by, like he finishes eating all of Dorado's food and then goes to like clean dishes and stuff. And then as he sort of passes by, he just kind of like kneels down and like from behind, like wraps an arm around her shoulders. And he just says like, just breathe. Okay. That's, you know, when you're feeling a lot, you just breathe. It helps. And kind of just like lays his head on top of her head and then and then walks off to do more chores.
Thank you, Obi. I do need that reminder sometimes. I got a little bit too much of a whiff of that bacon grease, I think.
Bacon grease will get out of control very quickly if you do not contain it. So, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat the bacon grease fire incident of last spring.
Please no.
That is a very, yeah.
Listen, I lost my attention for only 4 minutes.
Only 10 minutes.
10? It gets a minute longer each time you guys retell it.
And Dorado, what did we learn about how to put out a grease fire?
Don't use water.
That's right. That's right. All right. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, in your defense, I didn't know that either.
Wow, many eyebrows were lost that spring. A moment of silence for the eyebrows, please. All right, let's kick some monster ass.
Yeah!
Yeah! And I think at this point, your tent and your camp has been fully packed up, put back into your various packs, like slung over your backs and whatnot, and you all set off. As you set off, I think Chaos is at the front of the group, and she's just sort of turning around, so she's walking backward, as she talks and reminds you all of your mission. Remember, folks, this one should hopefully be pretty straightforward. We're gonna follow these tracks all the way to wherever they take us. You know, Toqtoa Kagan has those missing generals she needs us to rescue, or at the very least to recover their bodies, and dispose of whatever monster is hunting them. Obviously, that's what we're here for. Tigers of Chaos, best monster hunting group around in Andake.
Dorado whoops.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dorado whoops.
Yeah, and the whoop like rings out across the dunes of the desert. And Chaos responds with like a tiger like whoop whoop as well.
As the revelry is happening, Ole falls pretty quiet. He's usually very personable and happy to interject himself in every conversation. But this talk of the Kagan has him distracted, and he is looking at the cracks in the desert instead.
Yeah, Chaos is sort of going on, continuing the sort of like information sharing about the Kagan, even as like the Kagan's name and face and everything about her position just sort of rings around in your head. It's like a bad ghost you can't quite exorcise. And Chaos is sort of in the middle of saying, you know, hopefully after we, you know, win this thing, do this thing, uncover the mystery, solve the secrets, do whatever we have to do as Tigers of Chaos, it'll break that curse or whatever the Kagan thinks she's under.
Well, you said the trail is like pretty clear right now.
It's super clear. There's like a clear like sled and wagon wheel marks like
Nice.
Across the sand that you've just been following for a few days.
Okay. Yeah. Well, once we get there, I'm sure we'll figure it out. And then after saying that, I think Dana, where is Sulas in the marching order?
As you wonder that, you realize that Sulas is trailing in the back of the party, which is uncharacteristic for them. And they seem to be staring at Chaos, just in general.
Gotcha. Obi's gonna fall back and start walking next to you. Hey, Sulas. I wanted to. I know we're in the middle of the desert, and this is probably like a weird place to ask about this specific thing. But that said, last time you gave me some relationship advice about like from the stars and stuff. Like I feel like that hasn't really come forward at all, and I was really curious if like maybe you saw anything different. It's not a big deal. I'm just like, it gets lonely out here. So what's how's that going?
It's like I said, Obi, it will take time. You must be patient.
Yeah. Generally pretty patient, except for when I want to do something, and then I'm less patient about stuff. Not like in a gross way. I just mean like when I'm excited about it, and that's a wrong word too. You know what? I appreciate you, Sules. And do you want me to just walk next to you? We just like walk quietly. It's fine. Like I'm good. This trail is so easy that they don't even need me right now. So
You are always welcome to walk alongside me.
thanks.
And there's no better place than the desert for these kinds of talks.
Yeah. You know, I hear when you do something like this, it's called body doubling. And so, I mean, it's a thing we could do now. Like we could just be like part of that, those people that do that thing, body doubling.
Body doubling.
Yeah, because we're just two bodies doing their own thing next to each other as we walk. I'm pretty
Ah.
sure that's how that works. So yeah, that's
Didn't know there was a word for it.
things change.
That's-
You know, things change all the time.
Hey,
That's-
don't body double too hard. We don't want to invite doppelgangers into the mix.
Chaos knows that term too.
I don't think you understand what body doubling is, Chaos, but thank you.
No, like Chaos is right.
Right. Thank you,
It's-
Dorado.
You try to double
Monsterologist
too
here.
hard. It's in the book. You try to double too hard, doppelgangers.
Boom! Boom! Speaking of which, back when I was 32, I had this doppelgang situation on my hands, okay? Listen, it starts in a tavern. Colder than the frozen tits of Nebuza. And Chaos launches into a story about, like, when she, like, fought and, like, encountered a doppelganger and they ended up making out, and it was a whole thing. So, like, it's your journey across the Tanoosh-like desert is populated with Chaos's story, with, like, artful banter between the party. And the journey is, of course, also very beautiful. Because as the sun hitches higher and higher into the sky and this bitter chill of night is washed away by shimmering heat, I think we kind of watch as a time lapse of the sun arcing across the sky occurs. And we see the 5 of your bodies kind of silhouetted against the horizon just as shadows. And we see gusts of wind blowing columns of sand across the Tanoosh-lek. We see sun-bleached skeletons peeking out from golden dunes from where they're buried. And occasionally we even pass by a skittering lizard, a slithering snake, even a small person-sized oasis here or there, full of bright green cacti, desert flowers where you replenish your water skins and harvest munitions. You track your quarry, the caravan trail, for an entire day, basically, for 8-10 hours, until Galtanger starts to set once more. And it's at this point, a golden hour is spilling across the Tanoosh-lek desert, painting everything as radiant and crimson as blood. And your party comes to a halt at the top of a sandy dune. And you realize it's not just a dune, it's the crest of a basin. And at the bottom of this basin, dozens of feet beneath you, is this huge depression in the sand, right? Hundreds of feet wide, dozens deep, that eventually curves back up and out, forming like a big, kind of like a hole or a depression in the sand. And this basin is filled with tall, spiraling towers of rock, rising out of the sand in every direction. And these pillars of stone are quite vast and porous, almost like a huge mountainous underwater coral colony plucked out from the sea, bleached by the sun, and plopped in the middle of the desert. It's almost like a miniature mountain range, that's how big it is, or like a series of rocky, porous hills at the bottom of this depression. Also in the basin, notably, you see the caravan. Or rather, you see what's left of the caravan. You see shattered hunks of wood, wheels, sleds, tarpaulins, like smashed crates, all just like sort of half buried in the sand at the bottom of this slope. And you see something else too. Picking through the wreckage, several dozen feet underneath your party, is a dragonborn person. So Jaran, what do you look like, and how are you investigating the scene?
So Jaran is a dark-skinned dragonborn with this like dark brown skin that fades into these green scales at the edges of their body. And you can see they have like multiple horns coming up out of their head and this long, wavy, beautiful white hair that's kind of like flopping around if there's any wind kind of going behind them. They're wearing leather armor that has like instances it's very clear that it was like made in morose because there's like icy blue threads kind of like woven through it, and there's, even though we're in a desert, there's like little bits of fur still like poking out of the leather, as if that was something that he like wasn't able to leave behind. And I think you can see that Jaran honestly is from his mannerisms looks a little bit annoyed. They are like picking through the wreckage, and for anybody with a high enough perception, I don't know, like necessarily depending on how far away you are, if you were able to hear them, they're kind of just like muttering under their breath, like, can't believe Mercy sent me on this fucking mission all by myself. What, Oka wanted me to come here for what? And they're just like kind of like very angrily like picking through this wreckage, like a little bit distracted, like trying to see what happened here.
Jaran, I think we push in on your disgruntled face through your kind of like purplish eyes into a flashback in Mercy's tent. And we can sort of like see like a low torchlight flickering on the outsides of the tent, and the sound of like some sort of revelry or raucousness. This tent could be anywhere. It could be in the Badlands. It could be in Nabal. It could be in like the forests of Jukai. Wherever it is, it's kind of a shitty rundown place that Mercy has erected this tent. The smell of roasting meats drifting in past the tarpaulin, and she is sort of like standing on one side of the tent with her hands clasped behind her back, sort of cracking her neck in either side. She is a tall, kind of burly, almost kind of squat, green-skinned half-orc woman with shaved hair that's like bright crimson and tied up into a ponytail. And one of her eyes is covered by an eye patch, and she has these like sharp white tusks peeking out from her lower jaw. And she's wearing a tunic with rolled-up sleeves, revealing these like thick, burly forearms. That's not buttoned up all the way, so we can sort of see like these like bulging pectoral muscles that she has. And she's like sighing to herself and kind of like looking left, looking right, not really looking you in the eye, Jaran, and she's in the middle of saying, listen, kid, it's not an ask, it's an order, okay? You're gonna be doing this little thing. Toqtoa, Kagan's got some sort of stick up her ass, just pluck it out, okay? And there's some sort of lead, just figure it out.
Why? Wait, this isn't even my job. I'm clearly not the person to do political whatever.
Wait, I'm not asking you to do political whatever. Watch the tone, by the way. I'm asking you, I'm ordering you, actually, as your leader, as your boss, as the person who cuts your paychecks, to just go out and figure out where these missing generals or whatever went. Okay? Should be easy enough. You're a scout person, right?
Yeah, can I at least get a partner? Can Gentle come with me? Can Oka come with me?
Gentle is bulk cooking, meal prepping for the entire night. And then tomorrow. Like, I'm putting them on the clock. They have to make enough meals for us to, like, get the hell out of here when, we don't have to worry about that. I may or may not have some things that are a little bit illicit happening here that we might have to get, chased out of this village with pitchforks and torches about. But that's none of your concern. Gentle's predisposed. Sitlali is also very predisposed. I've sent them on a stealth mission, that may or may not be related to the illicit things I'm trying to do. And Oka is, also predisposed.
Predisposed? How?
They're training. I have them on like a really intense training regimen. It's going to be for like an entire week.
We can train on the way. That's easy enough to do. We do it all the time as a group.
No, I don't think that is necessary, Jaran.
Why not? You know that I'm one of the best sparring partners that we have.
Oh my gods, read between the lines, Jaran Cotter. Oka doesn't want you! Doesn't want to travel with you, okay? Go fucking abuse his frozen titties. How obvious do I have to be about this?
You really had to say it like that?
Well, I mean, if I didn't shout it at you, like really obviously, like a blunt object, apparently you wouldn't pick up on it.
And I imagine like everybody else is probably, like the other hounds are probably outside of the tent. So at this point, Mercy yelling this very loudly is probably picked up by literally all of the other hounds.
Yes, every single other hound.
Okay, well, fine. If you want me to go alone on this mission, I will. What am I supposed to do again?
There are like these like handful of missing generals who were like in charge of a supply caravan for Toqtoa wannabe Kagan. You know Toqtoa, right? One of the world leaders, even you who are extremely unskilled at political maneuvering should be aware of this. Like, oh my god, open a book sometime, Jaran. Anyway, yeah, so
I read. Wait, okay, what? That's fine.
several of I'm not the one who said you were illiterate. You implied it yourself. Several of her generals are missing. Somewhere in the desert, and if you just bring him back to her and slay whatever monster's in charge, or just like like relocate it like we do,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. More money down the line. We'll have a huge payday, and we desperately need a huge payday because I did gamble away all of our earnings from the last hunt.
Again?
Well, I
Mercy,
thought
okay,
we
we
were
need
gonna
to
get
talk
double.
about this. We need to talk about this. You pay your employees before you gamble away the earnings that we get.
I'm hearing a lot of yada 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 yada. I'm trying to be a financial advisor when really what you should be saying is, yes, Mercy, thank you for paying me, Mercy. I'm gonna do this, Mercy.
We're gonna fucking start a
so what
union
is
one
that?
of these days.
No,
I mean,
what was that? What was that? What?
We're gonna start a union one of these days.
That is a no-go word here. You motherfucker. Now get the hell out of this tent and win this thing.
Okay, fine. I'll be back however long it takes me to do this. Just don't get run out of every town that you stop in, please.
It's fine. It's fine. Even if we do get, it's fine. It's fine. I may or may not have, be sleeping with the mayor's wife, which will help.
Will that help or hurt?
It will help. Jaran.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
All right. You're dismissed. And I think we push back through your face to the present time where the setting sun is bleeding crimson shadows down the curved side of the basin and you're picking through the wreckage. Go ahead, Dorado.
Dorado looks down at this and is just like, "Stop, bandit!" And fully because he's worried about chaos jumping in, maybe overexerting themselves, fully starts sliding down the side of the hill before anyone else.
Dorado, make me an acrobatics check.
Okay, it's a +4. And it's a 14. 18.
That is, yeah, tell me how you expertly and honestly kind of badassly get down the side of this basin.
Yeah, Dorado is a very soft looking, rotund man. He's actually very dexterous. He works on his speed and everything. And if they've been in the desert for a while, he has enjoyed sort of sliding down dunes. So I think what he literally what he does is he puts down his pack and just slides down on it, heading directly towards Jaran to tackle them.
You're trying to tackle me? Okay.
Oh my god.
Bandit.
Can this be a contested check to see if I can avoid it?
Before we get into the grapple contest, Sules, Ole, and or Obi, are you trying to help or hinder Dorado in some way?
If Dorado moves, I move. So
Same.
yeah.
Okay, Obi and Ole, how are you also tumbling down the side of the dune, or do you have something else?
Ole, while he looks very nimble and lithe as a heron god, the sun and the heat has had its toll on his body, and he goes to run after Dorado, and then his leg seizes up, and you see him just kind of stop and start to I'm just gonna walk down this dune. But he does start to pull a little bit of sunlight into his hand, getting ready to cast a spell if needed, specifically a few blasts.
I love that. And I think in a gust of dust and sand, we also see Obi peeling past you. Ole, so Obi, what are you doing?
So just a quick hop and just sliding down, doing little hops to basically not get caught up doing it, hopefully. And I will roll that if you need me to.
Yes, make an acrobatics check. And once you get to the bottom, is your goal to help Dorado tackle Jaran?
No. My goal is to evaluate the situation because I don't necessarily think that he is a bandit. I just don't want Dorado to get hurt.
So instead of an acrobatics check, I'm just gonna say you can do that pretty easily. Make me an insight check.
Okay.
And what about you, Sules?
Yeah, Sules is definitely futilely calling after Dorado, trying to get him to wait. And nobody's listening. Nobody's
Yeah,
listening.
I think you and Chaos are still at the top of the base and going, oh, what?
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he's a bandit.
Yeah, Dorado, I think that might be. But it's a little too late as Dorado and Jaran clash right as Obi gets to the bottom and Ole summoning a bead of sunlight in their palm. So Jaran, make me an acrobatics check, and Dorado can be athletics or acrobatics for this grapple.
And I got a 23 for my insight.
Okay.
I got a 15.
I got a 21.
Oh my god.
The softest, roundest boy.
So
Suplexes Jaran.
it works. Yeah, Dorado, describe it.
No, I think it's just full, like, using the momentum of the slide down, just launches at Jaran. Like,
What the fuck?
and Dorado just sits and is just like, don't bandit.
I'm not a bandit. Who are you?
And Obi, on that, based on your insight check, yeah, I think you just suss out the situation here. Jaran was not trying to steal stuff. Seems like they were investigating, similar to how you would investigate, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Obi's gonna run over and is kind of like, he's 6'4", so he's tall. So he's like gonna like lurch over and just like put his hand on Dorado and be like, I think you should probably get up and let him up real quick and see why he's here. I don't think Bandit was exactly what was going on. Just
Listen to your friend.
trust me. Just trust me on this.
Okay. And Jaran stands up and looks a little embarrassed and looks down at Jaran and is just like, well, you probably aren't a bandit, because maybe a bandit would have had better reflexes.
I resent that. But
Okay.
Are we
Obi doesn't make a
blasting or
face.
not?
No blasting.
We're waiting.
Fine.
We're waiting. And Obi's gonna put out a hand to help you out.
And Jaran will take your hand. I think flushing a little as they do, and they will stand up with your help.
Jaran is down bad for every single person.
Good for Jaran. Good for Jaran.
Look, there is one thing that is consistent about Jaran from start to beginning. So.
That's true. Yeah, so Obi will help you stand up and then step back and just kind of like give you some space.
Question for the GM. Would the Hounds have knowledge about the Tigers of Chaos as a rival monster hunting group?
Yes. Because Mercy has definitely drunkenly ranted in anger about multiple people that she slept with and have hooked up with, and Chaos would be one of them. And she would have gone on a rant like, that bitch. She thinks she's so good. She thinks she's better than me with her little family. And like she usually goes into like a derogatory baby voice where she talks about the Tigers of Chaos. So, but I think you can kind of piece together what's happening here.
I see. So, you don't need to worry about this one. The Hounds got it. But thanks for showing up, and you're welcome to head out.
There's more of you here?
Yeah, they're on their way. They're a little bit delayed. I was the first one sent in. I was like the scout.
Inside check.
Same.
Yeah, so Jaran, make a deception check, and anyone who wants to roll insight can.
I listen. Ole already made up his mind. He doesn't need to know facts.
I got a 5, so I mean, I feel
Whoa! Well, I thought my 7 wasn't gonna do anything. So.
I also rolled low, but still higher than a 5.
Oh,
Yeah, this bitch is lying. There's no one coming.
lying through my teeth.
nice that you think that we want to share this, but we were sent by the Kagan ourselves.
Oh, I didn't realize that the Kagan was sending out multiple parties to investigate this.
She wasn't. And I think at this point, Sules, if it's cool with you, Chaos would have like helped. I think you're helping each other down the slope because like between her heart, right, and like you're in your elder age, right, like the two of you are able to make your way down the slope together by this point. And Chaos pulls herself to her full 7 feet of height. Usually she's kind of hunched over a little bit as like a lanky tiger kind person, but now she's like fully up and kind of towering a little bit over you, Jaran, a shadow falling over your face. You can sort of see like sharpened canines, right, and like stripes and scars blending together. And she says, "The Kagan hired us officially as the only monster hunting crew around to track down whatever beast got a hold of her generals. I'm not sure how the hounds got their paws on this information, but knowing Mercy, she does have her ways."
Yes, Mercy is very resourceful. And from our understanding, the hounds have just as much a right to be here as you do.
How resourceful.
As resourceful as the leader of a monster hunting group needs to be.
No one's better than Chaos.
Agreed.
Thank you
I
both.
stand to disagree, but
I mean, you're here by yourself, so how good can your group be?
well, I am here to do the job of one while you are 5. We're more efficient.
So we also know information about the hounds too. Is that right? Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah, you have your rumors. You
About
have
to
the
say
rumors.
we listed a bunch of cold
Yeah.
hard facts
Yeah, yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So,
did.
Yeah.
so yeah. I was just thinking like if we knew like if so I think Obi's gonna look at you and go, "So you're Jaran, is that right?"
Yes, and you must be Obi. They kind of like look you
Correct.
up and down
Yeah.
before they say your name.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're the one they call the bait.
Yes, that is my official title, my job.
He looks you up and down and goes, "Makes sense." So you and Mercy, Chaos said that Mercy only sleeps with her hot employees, so I'm just assuming you and Mercy are. Is that a weird question to ask somebody when you just meet them?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is. Mercy and I have never, and we would never. No, not Mercy. No.
Interesting.
Uh,
Well, I'm gonna actually start the investigation. I don't, it's fine. Like, we don't need to share notes or whatever. I think we got this. Nice to meet you. And he just like turns and walks away.
Honestly, I don't think that you're going to get anywhere all on your own, so you might as well, as you said, share notes.
you
My
think
brother's-
that we're not getting anywhere on our own? You sure?
Yeah.
Ole, Dorado, Sules, Obi. You know what?
Obi's like off, like 10 feet away.
Yeah, off doing your thing. Like calls after you, Obi. You know what? 3 people's lives might be in danger. That's what matters here. Okay? We can use all the help we can get. And when it comes to the reward and all that stuff, that can come later. Okay? But I figure Jaran's not gonna go away of their own accord, and I'm not quite interested in having to cross swords with another person. I don't think that's in any of our interests, and I certainly am not intent on slighting Mercy or hurting her feelings by hurting you, Jaran. So you're more than welcome to work with us. And we will be more than happy to work with you, isn't that right, Tigers?
Sure.
Like still looking away, just like, yeah.
Gerardo's like, yes, Chaos.
I guess.
I was extremely reminded. Have you guys ever watched Atlantis: The Lost Empire? The
The
radio operator. That was the exact voice I just got from Dana.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah, I think as all of you like very annoyedly and like reluctantly agree to Chaos, Jaran, Chaos looks back at you, and you know that whenever Mercy issues a command like this, there's always like y'all always argue with her, and like you rarely ever just go along with what she says. So seeing the Tigers just sort of go along with it is, I think, unusual to you. And Chaos looks down at you and sort of like sidles in kind of in like a private way, so only like really you can hear what she says next. And she says, Jaran, I believe this is the first time we've officially met. It is good to meet you. I've heard really good things about your work. Mercy's, well, we haven't really spoken, but you know, based on rumors and whatnot, I can tell you're very competent at what you do, so we'll be more than happy to have your assistance here.
Jaran is confused. Everything that Jaran has ever heard about Chaos has been bad, has been negative. Mercy has never said a nice thing about Chaos ever. And also just based on who Mercy is, the thought that when Mercy's talking about Jaran to other people, that she is saying nice, positive things is also unheard of, I think. I think they're just confused as they're hearing this. Are you trying to be funny?
Oh no, you'll be very painfully aware when I'm trying to be funny. No, I'm being serious right now. Hey,
Really?
for what it's worth, well, yeah, of course. Someone like Mercy, I know she can be a little, sometimes occasionally a little abrasive in person, but, you know, she can be surprisingly nice and kind when she wants to be, especially when the people she's being nice about are out of the room.
I'll just have to take your word for that. I don't think I've ever witnessed Mercy ever being nice and kind.
Well, of course not. She's, I think she would rather eat her own javelins than be intentionally and openly nice to someone, because she still thinks, you know, conflates compassion with weakness.
I actually did see her try to eat a javelin once on a dare. So, I mean, I believe that.
Oh, wow. Did she succeed?
Yeah, it was actually really impressive.
wow.
She got like the whole thing down, like point first. It was wild.
You know, I actually owe her a lot of money. We placed a bet way back when, but don't tell her that. Promise?
Hey,
yeah,
Obi.
no, for sure.
Yes.
Is eat a javelin a euphemism?
I was wondering the same thing, actually.
You
Not
know,
really following this conversation.
I don't. I'm just gonna assume that she actually ate a javelin, and I know enough about the human anatomy or the orc anatomy that I just don't think it's possible, and that leads me to believe that this might be a euphemism.
Oh, no, this is literal. No, Mercy actually physically ate like one of these. And she like reaches over her back and pulls out one of her own javelins. One of these, like spear point first.
It doesn't seem safe.
Well, nothing about
Yeah,
Mercy
it's not
is
safe. It's fun.
Hey,
Definitely not the
Jaran,
sex.
you're the bait, right? You know that's
Yeah.
not a real job.
Maybe not if you're bad at it.
All right. And Ole just goes to help Obi. By
Yeah,
help, I
I'm-
do mean fully shove his nose in what you're doing.
Gerardo
fair.
follows along like a little lost puppy right behind
Yeah.
Ole.
Yes. So can I get advantage on my investigation?
Absolutely. No, totally. If you've got like two little people
Yeah.
shoving their noses where they shouldn't be. So Obi, how are you investigating the scene?
So I think it was like busted up wagons, right? So yeah, they're just looking or like for any kind of prints to see if people walked off or if they were drug away, to see if there's a monster, then what kind of monster did
Totally.
it. Yeah.
Great. Then roll investigation as you're just scanning the area, like lifting up overturned rubble for prints and whatnot.
Okay.
While you are doing this, if I can, I would like to consult the stars and use guidance.
Yes. What does that look like as you're helping Obi?
So while I'm helping Obi, Celeste just kind of pulls some. What time of day is it?
It's a golden hour, so the sun's starting to set.
Okay. As the sky turns red and the sun is setting, Celeste pulls strands from the first like starlight of evening into their hands, spins it around what Obi's doing, and hopefully it will illuminate things that are interesting.
Okay.
Ooh, so that's a D4, right?
I believe so, and I will double check right now. Yes.
Cool. So Obi, add a d4 to whatever you roll.
26.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, yeah. With Dorado and Ole helping by like moving big pieces of rubble and shattered chunks of wood and glass, as well as I think starlight, threading between like Sulis's fingers, glowing between your scales, and then lighting up particularly important parts of this crime scene, essentially. You're able to ascertain that there were several horses here leading the caravan, maybe a total of 6 horses, maybe 3 caravans in total. And the only people were the 3 you can count in total based on the tracks, generals, 3 mortals, 3 actual people. The rest were horses, and you assume like supplies and munitions. Interestingly enough, all of the tracks, they came down from the same slope that you came down on. Like they seem to see have seen the basin and decided to like go through it rather than around it, because around it would have taken much longer, like half a day at least. And then kind of in the middle of all of these tall rock sculptures, the tracks just stop.
Okay.
They just end.
Okay.
And there's no one here.
Reading that wrong. Stop showing me the same rock.
I am not reading this wrong. And I think Obi's going to stand up and like walk towards Jaran and assume that his retinue is going to follow, and or at least stay within distance of Dorado, and gonna like motion for Jaran come over. So in the interest of sharing notes, looks like there are no monster tracks here. And I don't want to, first of all, I don't want to just assume that you don't know anything, because we're both professionals. And so I don't want it to like seem like I'm trying to explain this to you. So I'll just say what I think it is, and put no connotation on that I'm trying to over explain like you don't understand. But I think something flying came and picked these people up and took them away. Did you come to that same conclusion?
GM, what information did I ascertain when I was here before the tigers?
Make me a nature check with advantage,
Okay.
let's say.
Okay.
Because let's say you had a lot of time to pour over the scene. So
Okay. 21.
you notice all of that. Notice everything that Obi noticed. You also notice that these rocks, these like kind of mountainous pillars of stone, are kind of like the native home of Kyrian wild sheep. Like kind of like bighorn wild sheep. They love to like sit on these rocks and lick the salt, and like roost in like the little like nooks that form from like the porous holes. But there are no sheep anywhere.
I don't know that you are that far off, to be honest. Do you see all of these? And Jaran kind of like gestures over to the pillars. Kyrian sheep love this stuff. It's delicious to them. And so they're often found here, and yet no sheep. So whatever got these, whatever got the caravan, I think has been picking off the sheep as well.
Yeah, I think Obi is just gonna kind of mull that over, and then I guess just real quick, and we can move on from me. But like, can I just do a perception check to see if there's anything around that we notice?
Yeah, why don't you make another perception check to scan the area with this information in tow? While that's happening, I want to know what Ole is up to.
Ole has decided that he can figure this out as well as Obi, if not better. And has gone for the nearest rock and has decided that the best way to test anything about this rock is to lick it.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, Ole, You lick this rock and it's porous. It's almost kind of like bone. And that's something like archaeologists will do. They'll lick things to determine if they're bone or stone. And this is like a bony stone. And it's real salty. You lick it and you get the, like your taste buds explode with this sour, bitter, salty sensation. I think there's almost like a painful kind of squeezing sensation as little spurts of saliva come out from like licking the salts like beneath your tongue glands. And you get the sense that if you were a sheep, a wild Kyrian sheep, you would love this shit. You'd like gobble this shit up. And licking it too, make me a perception check with your mouth.
With my mouth. God. No, oh, you know what? No, that's better than I thought. 16.
It's nutritious. It's delicious. This is like high property value rock for wild sheep in Kirtal. This is like some really nice rock. So it's interesting that there are no sheep here, because even if like some sheep were like picked off by a flying monster, there'd definitely be other sheep moving in to migrate here like immediately.
Huh.
What about, yeah, go ahead.
And Ollie just thinks about what it would be like to have a herd of sheep that he could bring through here.
Yeah, your mind is filled with fluffy bars and, round ram horns. Dorado, what are you doing?
Dorado followed Ole. Because I think throughout the trip here, Dorado like wanted to check up on Ole, but was like, I'm feeling weird and guilty about stuff. And so like now that things are like more lively, like Dorado's like walking over and sort of like checking the rock, and they listen to Obi and then sort of like look at the rock and look around and look down, and it was like, what if from the ground instead of from the sky?
Maybe.
And Obi, what did you get on your perception check?
17.
As soon as Dorado says, what if from the ground instead of from the sky, the ground begins to shake. The sand begins to tremble, right? Like water in a glass on top of a table that's being rocked by something huge that's approaching. And all of you feel like a strong vibrational force coming from underneath you, from around you. And all of you hear Chaos go, look, the southern horizon. And on the southern horizon, on like the top of the rim of the basin, you see something like ripple, like underneath the sand. It's huge and it's fast, almost like there's something underneath it that's like kind of oblong and wide, just like moving. And like the sand underneath you jitters, it shakes, and then all of you fall. And on that, we're going to go to break. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in so far to When Chaos Reigns. We'll be back in about 10 minutes to see what the hell's happening. Enjoy the music. Use ! Donate to these incredible fucking performers. Look at them. They're giving their whole hearts and souls in this performance. And let's try to compensate them with some yummy tip money. And they are definitely going to need some of those inspirations and autocrits coming up real soon. So we'll see you in 10. And Pisho. hello, folks. Welcome back to When Chaos Reigns. Let's get right back into things. Before we do, though, quick reminder of content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglement, death and killing, depictions of battle and political conflict, and heights and falling. So use !CW at any time for a full list of these content warnings and !donate to help contribute to the run of Shoot Your One Shot. We already have a $25 inspiration for Dorado. Yay! So Dorado has inspiration advantage on the roll of your choice, and we definitely are going to need these moving forward into the second half of the session. So !donate to help out Shoot Your One Shot and support these incredible performers that we're seeing on stage right now. But now that that's done, let's get right back into the session. Ole, Obi, Dorado, Sules, and Jaran, make a dex save.
I'm not high enough level for evasion. I'm so sad.
I know. Where am I?
That's a natural 20, so that is a 26 for Dorado.
26 from Dorado, okay. What about Sules? You're muted. Let's come back to you in a second. I'm going to let you figure out that input situation. Let's go to Ole.
With my fancy rabbit footwork, it's still only a 9.
A 9! Oh dear. Okay, what about Jaran?
Only slightly better at a 10.
A 10, okay. And Obi?
16.
16. And of course, Sules?
Okay, you can hear me. There we go.
Yes,
I see it.
yes, again.
I got a 7. These old bones do not move.
Oh no.
A 7, okay.
Connie,
Noted.
before we know the outcome, Ole might not know this, and the audience doesn't know this yet, but Dorado carries a big torch for Ole. I was wondering if there was a way, since I got a natural 20, to maybe swap the results. For
You know
Dorado
what?
to give that 26
Yes.
to Ole.
Yes, I shall allow it. You're tumbling through the air. There's a moment where there's just sand cascading around all of you before your vision clears. Dorado, how do you try to help Ole in this moment?
I think that, again, like Dorado is deceptively a lot faster and more dexterous than a lot of people might give them credit for. I think what they do as they're sort of getting like flapped around in this wind, they sort of like tighten up their body to sort of like make it easier to move, and like when they see Ole maybe potentially going for a hard fall, they try and they move like through the air and like sort of like pushes like Ole to maybe like correct the way that they're falling, but puts themselves in like a
bad
worse position.
Yeah, you'll swap scores. That's what that means. So Ole, you're going to get that 26, and Dorado, you're going to eat that 9. Okay, so as the 5 of you tumble through the air, falling, sand cascades all around you in dry, grainy waterfalls, and then splash? Sules, Jaran, Navarre, and Dorado. The 4 of you land in a body of water. A pond. A cool, clear, crystal blue pond. The shores of this pond are made of sand, dirt, rock, and spiraling all around you as you're sort of bubbling and frothing in this water are plants. Pea shrubs, salt cedars, poppies, needlegrass, bridlegrass, saxaw, wild onions, saltwort, bindweed. Plants of the Tanushlek Desert, flowering in every direction, smelling sweet and dry and soft, and grass, so much grass, bright green grass growing in thick verdant sprigs all around you. This chamber is an oasis, pockmarked by other ponds, bodies of water so clear you can see the sandy bottom dozens of feet underneath your pedaling forms. And 100 feet, maybe even more, above your heads is the ceiling. A ceiling of dripping, trickling sand, writhing like waves on an ocean, moving, but somehow not collapsing. Falling sand trickles down onto your upturned faces in thin streams like the world's driest rainfall. And Olay, you have landed squarely, perfectly, harmlessly, with immaculate form on the back of a horse. The horse is drinking from the pond that the rest of your companions have fallen into, and as soon as there's a splash and you fall on it, it lets out a and it lifts its long neck up and sort of just looks at the four of you, like now splashing around in the water, and then it sort of like ears flick back as you land on its back, and it bucks a little, but then otherwise doesn't move. What?
Hello?
Yeah.
Ole, who definitely did not miss who nudged him, looks at this horse and looks at the water. Oh no. What is... Can you swim? You're right.
How far is it to the shore?
Maybe a couple dozen feet at most.
Okay.
How deep is this?
Couple dozen feet.
I don't think Dorado can swim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dorado just sort of lets out a and you like start to float down.
Okay. Yeah. So as soon as we get in the water, Obi comes up, looks for his best friend, sees him struggling in the water. We'll swim over to them and we'll pull out of their belt the immovable rod, click it over the water, and pull your arm up to the rod so you can hold on to it.
Yeah. Dorado's just like, yes. What the?
Are you okay?
I hate falling.
Yes. Look, I'm gonna get you out of here. Is everybody else okay? And I'm gonna like look around to make sure everybody else is fine.
Can Celeste swim?
Yeah, Celeste has a swim speed and some other aquatic abilities.
Got him.
So
Nice.
a blue tail cuts through the water as Celeste just kind of pulls wet wheelies around all of you for a moment.
Sick move, Celeste.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
you're totally at home here in the water. Your tail just sort of spinning around, and Chaos sort of surfaces and like throws her head back, and some water splashes in your face, Jaran, as she also sort of like dog paddles in the surf. Dorado, good job, Obi. Olay, is that a horse?
Yeah, there's a horse here. And Ole just kind of like pats the neck of the horse and just starts petting it.
Yeah, the horse lets out a neigh. And you realize you've landed on a saddle. Like this horse is tacked up.
What where is this tack from? Like what region is this tack from?
I won't make you roll for it because you recognize it immediately as someone from Kirtal. It's Kyrian. In fact, it's very nice Kyrian tack, like very high grade, something that like an Agon might own.
I think we find the general's horses.
Real quick, I think Jaran, when we splash into this water and as they're like treading water and seeing all of this go down, I think has a thought to really quickly dive underneath and just do a quick scan as best as he can see in this, I assume, dark cave, just to see like, is there anyone or anything down there? Because there's a horse here, but there's no guarantee that there's a person.
Yeah, I won't even make you roll for it as you sort of dive down a little bit and sort of peer toward the crystal clear bottom of this pond. You don't see like skeletons or like corpses or anything like that. Nothing. It's just sort of like a nice sandy bottom.
Suspicious. Jaran will resurface and I think join everybody else on shore.
Oh, you know what, Jaran? You do see something. You see little tufts of like kelp or seaweed actually coming out from like cracks in the edges of like the pond walls, and they like sort of like flow in this underwater current. They look really nice and smooth and silky.
Is there a reason that you had to add that?
I guess you'll have to find out, bitch.
I'm nervous.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm so confused.
Okay, I've got a plan. I'm gonna tie. I have rope also, and I'm gonna tie one end of the rope around the immovable rod, and then I will ask Sules to come over and take the other end, swim it to Kai on the horse, or to Ole, excuse me, on the horse, to make it taut, basically, so that Dorado can pull themselves out of the water. And I'll stay by the immovable rod until they're done, so I can take it back.
Totally.
That is
I think
no
if everyone
problem.
goes along with it, like one by one with Obi and the immovable rod, all of you are able to like hoist yourselves out of the water with no problem. And we find all of you on the shore next to this very calm, still now grazing horse. Ole, if you're staying on the horse, it's like clopped over to some grass and has started to eat it with like a kind of intense fervor, like it really likes this grass. And all of you are now on the shore next to this horse, dripping wet. 4 out of 5 of you. But as you cast your gaze across this subterranean oasis, you see other horses. Like 3, 4, 5 other horses. They're just like pockmarked. It's a massive cavern here, all around just grazing or drinking. A couple of them have actually lied down and seem like they're sleeping.
Well, can't say I've seen a horse underground before. But who wants to ride a horse underground?
That seems fun. And I think if we're gonna find the Kagans or the Agans men, then
The Kagan's fine.
my apologies. The Kagans men, then through the cavern is where we need to go.
What about the thing that was circling the rim? That thing that made us fall? Do we not? I don't. It probably goes through here. And
Yeah.
And
Are
Dorado,
you Monster Hunter or not?
Dorado, as soon as you, again, it's always you for
Stop
some
doing
reason.
this.
As soon as you mention it, all of you feel this like cavernous oasis shake. It trembles. Like the surface of the water starts like undulating like jelly, and like waves start splashing up onto the shores. Like the broad green leaves of fronds begin to tremor and tremor and tremor, and like pebbles and sand and granules of it just start cascading from the ceiling, as it feels like this place almost feels like it's gonna like collapse in on itself for a moment, and then exploding downward out from this massive grainy ceiling, almost 100 feet above your heads, is what I can only describe as a massive hard-shelled worm. It has like a huge mouth full of just serrated, layered, gnashing teeth, and these like tiny little crimson eyes mounted on top of its head, like really small little dainty eyes, and like this hard purple carapace, just like a shimmering lavender. It looks like harder than tungsten steel, and its head, not all of it even, its head just kind of peeks down through the ceiling, as everywhere around you shakes, and it's maybe like 30 feet in the air above you as it swings its massive pendulous gnashing maw from side to side looking down, and then we see those little crimson points of light that are its eyes swivel forward and fix on your party huddled around this horse and around this pond, and it lets out this incredible roar, just a and we see like saliva fly off of its teeth. We see like a huge forked tongue thrash in its mouth. Oh, its mouth, which is like the size of like it feels like a small star, like just right up in your faces. Its entire mouth is like as wide across as your party lined up in a row, like easily.
Are you bait
to?
or not?
Usually the job is to get the monster here, but it seems that you have bait of your own. And Jaran just kind of like gestures over to Dorado. But all right, let's do this. And Jaran will, I think, pull out their dagger and move in front of this worm and do their job as the bait.
Okay, Jaran, you move in front, you pull out your dagger. How are you trying to be the bait? You're trying to like draw its attention? It's aggro, presumably?
Yeah, so Jaran's whole thing, that the whole reason that he is the bait for the Hounds of Mercy is that he is really good at mimicry. He's really good at mimicking the sounds that other people make, and this is usually helpful when it's, actual language, but it's also helpful for beasts and for monsters as well. So he goes in front of this worm and I think starts to like mimic that like low growl of the worm, and like tries to keep the worm's attention on them so that the tigers can presumably do the rest of the monster hunting job, because that's how that's supposed to work.
Okay, Jaran, I need you to make like the best performance check of your life right now.
Look,
I'd say we're helping, but we're not.
While that's happening, you said the worm's still 30 feet above us, right?
Yeah.
Like the closest part of it is 30 feet away?
Yes, its mouth. Is there something you wanted to do though?
Yes, but
You can
I don't know if I could
try it.
do it.
You can try it. I'm really flexible with ranges. I might just cut you a little
Okay.
devil's bargain.
I actually have something before Obi moves because it's exactly what I do as the curse bringer.
Okay. Ole, what are you gonna do as Jaran is doing the bait thing?
Jaran goes up to try and figure out whatever being a bait looks like. Ole has no idea what that means. And Ole pets up the neck of this horse, and as his hand moves, just beams of light form in his hand, and they feel dry, even though this whole cavern is so damp. And he is going to try and summon a curse to help his party.
Okay.
It is a bit far. So I think we're going to start with a regular curse.
Okay.
And he is going to try and hex this worm. I think it just happens. Yes, it does. Bless this spell. Ole, on instinct, the moment he sees a monster, this is what they do. The tigers move into position, and the first thing that Ole does is help dampen their enemies, and is going to put a hex on this creature. The bright beams of searing light of the desert, of divine angelic light, wrap into any of the scales, any places that are breaches in the armor of this creature, and set in, and it is going to be hexed and has disadvantage on ability checks for dexterity.
Got it. Okay, so like we see bright beams of like Galtanger's rays beaming out from like the slats in its carapace. It's almost kind of like segmented, right? And we just sort of see rays of it just shoot out. As it feels, we get the sense that this thing can feel what you're doing to it, and it sort of like lets out a it sort of like turns its huge head side to side, and it's like little like red eyes blink one after the other as you hex it. Jaran, what did you get?
I got a 21.
A 21. Okay. You sort of mimic a shout, a roar, a screech, a howl back. What intention do you put behind what you're saying?
Ooh, I think the intention is to try and, as always, because the hound's whole MO is we don't actually like kill these monsters. We just kind of move them so that we can keep getting jobs. Like we follow monsters around Andake. That's how we make sure that we're required. And so I think Jaran's always first line of defense is to try and calm the creature, try and make it so that the creature sees Jaran as like a friend, as an ally.
Okay. With your 21, as these roars and guttural howls and whatnot explode from your maw, Dorado, Something in the back of your mind had clicked a little when this worm first roared, and it's almost kind of settling like sediment that's been stirred up at the bottom of a lake. And you're trying to piece it together, and what Jaran says stirs it up again, and you get the distinct sense that whatever Jaran's trying to say, like the intention is almost like it's arcing, and then it falls a little bit short of the goal. And you get the sense from the worm's immediate reaction, it like sort of swivels its head away from Olay and down at Jaran. You get the sense that whatever Jaran has said has deeply offended this thing. And like whatever Jaran had put forth was almost kind of like either a boast or a taunt or an insult of some kind.
Ooh. I'm gonna look at something really quick. This is that's for humanoids. Yeah, Dorado does his job, which Dorado is the skilled monsterologist of this group. He lies. He knows nothing about monsters. He knows nothing about this worm, but he knows a lot about people. And when people are mad and about to throw fists at like a group that he's a part of, he likes to be distracting. I'm going to cast Hypnotic Pattern at this creature. And that is a 3rd level spell. It makes a twisting pattern of colors that weave through the air inside a 30-foot cube. So he's just
Is it a
gonna
whiz save?
It is it is a wisdom save.
Okay, what's your DC?
My DC on my sheet is 16.
Okay, what does it look like?
Again, it feels like the colors that are on Dorado just sort of pop off of him and launch upwards in an arc of just like moving like a menagerie of monsters, actually, like silhouettes of monsters that weave in and out, like a purple worm weaving through the back of like griffins, manticores, sphinxes, all of it just sort of dancing around this worm and trying to distract and placate it.
Yeah, we see these dancing lights explode up in front of these 2 pinpricks of its eyes, and for a moment it like raises its gaze off of Jaran and looks up at this hypnotic pattern, and we see it almost like sort of bob from where the rest of its body is extending downward from the ceiling, and then we see its massive entire length and girth just sort of slop through the ceiling. This thing is like over 100 feet long, and like land on the ground, and like the rest of its body and tail slaps onto the ground as it almost seems like entranced by this form, so it like relaxes the entire like huge length of its body, and as it's like thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds heavy, right? So as its body just slaps onto the ground, I think pebbles and rocks dislodge from the ceiling all around you and begin to fall, like all around every single one of you. And I need all of you to make a dex save yet again.
Is it me or the horse?
Oh, it's you. It's you. Interestingly enough, Olay, this horse and the rest of all the other horses seem very calm. They like haven't reacted to this. They're still just eating.
Because I technically also have the ability, I can manage land vehicles.
Hey, same. You know what? You know what? I will allow it. You can make a dex save with advantage if you're using the horse.
I am gonna use the horse.
I'm using my advantage that I got. Thank you, person, because I rolled a 4 first, and then I rolled again, and now I have a 19 plus 6, so it's a 25.
25?
Yes.
I rolled a 22. And if that saves, I would like to, if it's possible, flavor that into my move.
Yes, we can get to you in a second.
Yeah.
What about Sules?
6.
Oh no, Sules!
Oh no! What about Jaran?
I got a 17.
Okay, 17. And Ole?
Muted.
You're
Oh, you're
muted,
muted.
love.
Oh, on horseback, immediately fleeing, seeing the stones falling, a dirty 20.
A dirty 20. Very nice. Okay, so all of you except Sules and Jaran would save. So those of you who fail are going to have to take 2, and those of you who succeed will only have to take 1. And your 3 options are these. You're going to take a significant amount of damage from the falling and crashing, bludgeoning rocks and pebbles. You're going to get thrown to a bad position, or you're going to have to answer a difficult question.
I will take the difficult question, please.
Okay, difficult question.
Yes, difficult
From
question.
Ole. Okay. Difficult question for Obi.
Give me the mess, please. Difficult question.
Difficult question from Dorado. Sules, you have to pick 2.
Bad position, and I'm interested in the difficult question.
Okay, difficult Q. And Jaran?
I will take the damage and the difficult question.
Haha. Okay, let's do the easiest first, which is the damage. As these rocks cascade down all around you, Jaran, I think you're clipped by some of them as you try to like duck and roll and dodge and weave out of the way. And you're gonna take 22 points of bludgeoning damage from just like the ceiling and the pebbles and crystals raining down all around you. Yes.
Uncanny dodge, I take 11. I think Jaran manages to dodge at least some of the pebbles that are kind of raining down on them in this moment.
Is uncanny dodge for failed deck saves? Like you take half.
No,
you take half
it's
damage
just
on
half
fail?
damage to. It's just half damage for any attack.
Any?
It is. It is.
Damn!
Evasion,
have the
evasion
tax
is the one
damage
for
against
deck
you.
saves. Evasion's the one for deck saves.
You're right. Yeah, you're
which
right.
I don't
You're right.
have. Which I don't
Okay,
have.
it's technically not an attack, Jaran.
Connie,
It's technically not an attack. It's just a con.
Get it, Connie!
Plot armor. Plot armor.
Get it, Connie! Hamna, I love you. Get it, Connie.
Come on.
You know what? It's not an attack because this thing wasn't trying to attack you all. I think this is actually a significant distinction. This was kind of like just an unintended consequence of its body falling onto the ground.
Birthday, you would
Yes,
do
I
this.
do. Yes, I do. So you take the
Yes.
full 22, Jaran Connor, and if you die in the past, then you die in the past.
I won't let it happen.
You
We
die in
have
the
our
past, you
way.
die in real life.
A
So-
time problem in your own canon.
We have our way.
We do have our ways. Sules, the position I think that you get knocked into, I think as you're dodging and weaving, you don't get hit by any of this, but based on how the terrain is changing, you find yourself, I think, stumbling right up next to the worm. Like you are within 5 feet of its like huge head that's also sort of fallen onto the ground as it's trying to shake off this hypnosis. You're right next to its mouth. And now all of you are going to have to answer the difficult question, which is, in this glowing, shattered rock and sand, cascading all around all of you, for some reason, it feels like the weave is tensing here, and magic seems to be pulsing around this chamber like this very space is imbued with the arcane, and all of you glimpse flashes within the pouring sand of home. So tell me, what is home to each of you? Starting with Obi.
Oh, you would start with me first. Home for Obi is back in Jukai. They see an image of a young Dorado sitting by themselves after listening to some kind of perhaps maybe a scolding, if you're okay with that, Victor, from parents. And Obi uncharacteristically walks up next to Dorado and sits next to him and maybe offers him like some rabbit jerky, and just like quietly, like doesn't say anything, just like offers it, like just, and still looking forward and just hands it out. And yeah, and I think he just sits there quietly, like just in kind of like quiet support. And I think that as like the beginning of the relationship has always been a place that's grounded for Obi, and that's what he thinks of as home.
Okay, yeah, I think like we're actually gonna flash across to Dorado too. So what is home to you?
I think if this is flashing in front of them, it's nothing. It's void for a moment. In which nothing has ever really felt like home until a sort of something peeks through, and it is the fire. It is his family, Chaos, Sules, Olenobi, all of them sitting around the fire and laughing, and just sort of like being able to like hearing the conversation sort of flow through, and that's home for Dorado.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I think we pan across from you, Dorado. Now over to Sules.
Wow, I'm so sorry because it's definitely not y'all.
It's fine.
No,
Good.
Celeste's home is back in Kulong, specifically with the other dream prophets in the town where they grew up. And if there's one thing to be said about the dream prophets, at least they have really good mattresses that Sules is definitely missing on this long and hard road. But yeah, it's this very tranquil scene of all of the people that they remember, like drinking tea and like having discussions.
Shout out to Halo.
Shout out to Haley. Yeah. I think amongst these peers, one of them is like a snow-colored tiefling with these horns that jut out from her forehead and connect at the top to form a halo. And she's in the middle of smiling and talking to you. And you're like intellectual equals here, right? Like discussing prophets and portents and omens. And as we flash out of this tea room in Tulong in the slumbering palace, we now cut into Ole.
Sun blazes hot in the sky. And we see that it isn't in the sky at all, but in the chest of an angel, flowing with the life of Kirtahal. But underneath it are the smiling faces of Hamni, Agan, and Liho. But they last for only a moment, like a mirage. And they're in the fire, surrounded by the tigers of chaos. Everyone's smiling and laughing. And Ole just enjoying himself.
And we cut now over to Jaran.
At the feeling of home, I think Jaran expects to see Morose, expects to see Bolshaya, the ice, the permafrost of Zima Lake. Even Gentle, the only friend that Jaran has ever known since, well, ever. Until the Hounds, that is, until this fucked up, dysfunctional family that they found. But he doesn't see any of that, actually. What he sees is a dark-skinned drow beneath him, sucking out the venom, manticore venom, out of their collarbone after a very difficult mission gone wrong, after Jaran had gotten hurt. And in this moment, Jaran sees his eyes locking onto Oka's, into their double-pupiled, blue, icy gaze. And that is the moment that they knew. That is the moment that they knew that they are in love with this terrible, terrible blood hunter. And that's home for Jaran.
And all of you also see, flashing through the grains of sand, the tigers of chaos. You see yourselves. You see Dorado and Sules and Ole and Obi and briefly even Jaran. As we realize this is home from Chaos's perspective, and then you all see each other's visions cascading and waterfalling all around you. We see Oka, we see that beam of sunlight caught between ribs, we see the tea room in Tulong, we see Jukai, we see Dorado and Obi looking at each other. We see all of it. And as those last bits of like falling sand and rock and pebble and crystal and shattered chunks of refuse finally settle down and like the world stops shaking, I think you all realize that you've seen each other's homes like all at once, and like everything is sort of laid bare like cards on a table. And sort of in that moment, I think we pan over to Obi as the dust is starting to settle for you to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So I am going to, now that, especially that Celeste is now in front of the worm, and Jaran's over there trying to bring the worm closer. Obi is going to just from their position just hop off the ground. And I can hop up to 15 feet, but I can basically I want to like jump at its face, and I want to grab on to like its upper lip and jam the immovable rod in between its teeth and click it.
You're trying to like prevent it from being able to bite down
or move forward. Like I want to wedge it
Okay.
into its teeth and click it down.
Okay, why don't you make a sleight of hand check?
Can we argue that Navarre gets advantage because of both the hypnotic pattern as well as like Jaran's very poor attempt at calming the worm down?
You know what? Yes, you may have this dub, Humna. You may take this dub. Yes, you can. And bequeath it upon Obi. Go for it. You have advantage.
Sleight of hand. I really wish I would have been more roguey about this.
I
That's-
also don't have sleight of hand as like a good
I was trying
ability.
to pick a skill. Y'all would be good at it.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. 2 18s. So for +3, so 21.
Okay, it works. So you jump up into the air and click, and it's sort of like a toothpick. You know what I mean? Like sticking out from between its massive teeth, each like the length of a person, and you jam it there between its gums, and it lets out. It tries to like look down, but then it lets out almost like a roar of pain as it can't move past the immovable rod. It like looks down to see what happened, and it lets out and like the walls shake once more from its roar, and Chaos shouts out, "Okay, incoming!" And she like pulls out her glaive and then winces a little bit, grabbing at her heart, but then shakes her head and like stands in front of her family to protect all of you as this worm thing like starts to roar. And I need all of you to roll initiative.
Can I is it okay if I like move from that spot, or do you want me to stay there? I'm fine either
You
way,
will
I'm just
you will
curious.
be up there. You will be up there at the start of initiative because I think that's more fun.
Oh god. Okay.
Dirty 20.
Nice.
Oh
Okay.
god, what the fuck did Kai roll?
We showed up.
That too.
Oh, what is my initiative?
A 2 from Ole. Who got the dirty 20? Was it Dorado?
Yes.
Cool. Right on.
9.
9 from
fucked.
Obi.
Yeah. I came to get beat up by Connie. That's why I showed up.
Yeah.
Everybody, it is no
I mean-
secret. I showed up to get beat up by Connie today.
Yeah.
What about
And,
Suez?
16.
Nice. Jaran?
13.
13. Okay. So first to go is gonna be Dorado.
If they're gonna hold on a second. That's not on here. I have darkness as like a tiefling thing. I figured that I could probably blind this thing for a little bit.
Okay, you're gonna try to cast darkness.
Yes.
Okay.
How big is this worm? Like how tall on the ground?
It is. I think at the top of your turn, you see your hypnotic pattern. I think shatter as like it tries to thrash like whatever toothpick immovable rod has been lodged between its teeth shatters its miasma of mesmerization, so to say, and it can't move its head down. So like the top maybe 10% of its body is raised off the ground, maybe 30 feet into the air, and the rest of its body is like long. It's like a worm, like all the way snaking through the dungeon.
Then yeah, because it's a 15-foot radius of darkness, he's just gonna plop it right over its eyes that it can't move right now.
Okay. Yeah. It just happens. An orb of darkness wicks into existence and just covers its eyes. What's the width? What's the
Is
size? of the
15-foot
darkness?
radius.
You can get one of its eyes because they're very far apart on its head.
Fair. Whichever one is pointed towards most of our group.
Okay, the left one, let's say.
Left
yeah, you
one.
cover like a
Yeah.
huge like sunglass, just like wicks into existence over its left eye and lets out a. Is there anything else you do?
I give inspiration to Obi.
Oh,
Bardic
Bardic
inspiration.
inspiration, right? Okay, yeah. What does this look like as you sort of embolden Obi with your words or gestures?
I've seen this thing before. It's weak. You can do this.
Okay,
And
and
it's just
Dorado.
it's just like a small blue aura that goes around Obi.
Yeah,
Obi knows
like
you're lying,
Obi.
but also recognizes your love language. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, your shoulders flare with this like blue energy from Dorado's like enthusiastic shout. And is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
Dorado, at the end of your turn, that sediment that's been swirling in like the back of your head as you were listening to this worm like shout and Jaran shout back, right? And then the worm shout again and make these noises. I think there's a part of you that's always kind of been oddly attached or like resonant with the monsters that the tigers have been hunting down or pursuing in some way. And finally, that last part in your brain clicks together, and it's almost like the magic in this cave weaves together with the magic that you wield as a bard, and the weave like threads in neatly, like a weft work of a tapestry coming together. And suddenly, like this huge, massive worm's roars don't sound just like roars anymore. You hear it kind of go from what happening? Hello? Hi? I just want to say hello? What? I can't see through half of my eye and there's something in my mouth. Hello?
Oh. I think Dorado starts shouting at everyone. Hold on. Hold on.
And then on the top of you just saying, hold on, but like it's roaring, it's drowning you out. We're gonna go over to Sules.
I love it.
All I can think of is I have to follow our bylaws, so your choices are violence or romantic entanglements. But that said, the color of Sules's scales begins to darken and animate, becomes a swirling vortex of black and purple and blue before settling into a night sky pattern, and pinpricks of starlight begin forming all over Sules's body, with lines being drawn between them, forming a constellation. Sules has used their bonus action to use starry form, and I am using the Chalice constellation. Is anyone hurt besides Jaran?
I think it's just Jaran.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
think so.
Jaran?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to use my standard action to cast Cure Wounds on Jaran at level 2. And yeah, as these pinpricks of starlight, these stars begin appearing on the edges of your wounds, and then as lines are drawn between them, they begin to close, being stitched together by these constellations. And you regain 8 points. That was a 1 and a 3 on those d8s.
It happens.
Holy
8
number.
is a holy number.
Somebody's been doing the homework.
I read your notes, Connie.
Okay, yeah. Jaran, you can sort of feel some of that aching pain from like getting hit by these huge falling, crumbling rocks, like beginning to fade, as like the surface level injuries start to stitch together with starlight. And Sules, what else do you do?
That is it. That's my whole turn.
Okay, Sules, I think in the middle of this like crumbled, crashing, dust-filled, sand-filled oasis, facing off against this gargantuan beast, toward the end of your turn, a vision flashes across your eyes. and the darkened stars that have stopped whispering to you outside of dreams, you hear just a spark of their voice, an echo of a story, a ghost of a portent just reverberate, and you see chaos. Body curled, eyes flashing wide, ribs cracking, crushing life expelled from lungs. And you get a sense that that future is happening very, very, very soon. What do you do about it?
Where is Chaos positioned right now?
Chaos is running toward the worm. Has her glaive drawn out in sort of like a lancing, piercing position in front of her, with perfect form. And even though like she's wincing from like her heart kind of like being weak, and you can almost like hear the blood pounding in like a pained, strained fashion through her veins, she's about to like push past everyone and just go for this thing.
The only thing I have not used is my movement action. I don't care if this worm gets an attack of opportunity. I'm just going to book it towards Chaos to try and tackle her and keep her from getting in this fight the way that she's trying to.
Okay, noted. I think like, because all this is happening at the same time and it's very fast, we see you turn, your eyes fix on Chaos, and you just book it toward her, trying to like tackle her out of like a line of injury, right? But before the two of your bodies can collide, we're gonna cut across the battlefield to find Jaran.
I think Jaran yells out to everybody, "Don't kill it. Let's move it somewhere else, somewhere where it can't hurt people." And is the only exit the ceiling, the hole that it made in the ceiling?
I will let you make like a perception check to see what other places there are, but that's gonna be like one of your actions, let's say.
Sure. I got an 18.
Yeah, you see, like, there are various tunnels leading to other parts of this dungeon. Like, it almost seems like there's a vast subterranean network beneath the basin that's almost as wide, like, probably as wide across on the bottom as the basin is up top. And, like, based on your just, like, peripheral scan of what's around you, you almost get the sense that that this entire area is almost like an hourglass or like an 8. Like, the basin is, like, the bottom part of, like, the number 8, the top O. And the dungeon underneath is like the other curve of the bottom O, right? And it seems to pan out even more.
I think in that case, Jaran looks around at all of these sort of different like exits, and just intuitively or instinctively, based off of just a quick scan, picks the one that he thinks is going to lead down and is going to lead the furthest down, and is going to still trying to mimic the worm's roar, still trying to gain its attention, and at this point, like with whatever intention is necessary to do so, is going to try and draw the worm towards that spot, and specifically is going to make eye contact with Obi as they're doing that in order to basically signal that to Obi like let's help move this worm out, and trying to give like some sort of like advantage to Obi essentially on his turn going forward.
Okay, I'll allow it. Yeah, so like by signaling to Obi, you'll have advantage. Basically, you can get inspiration from what Jaran did on a roll of your choice. And you're like uber buffed right now. And Jaran, you turn like making those snarling, howling, roaring noises from your maw as you book your way across this underground oasis toward one of these huge cavernous openings jutted into one of the sandy walls. And as you approach it, I'm gonna say your speed is like quick enough that you make it there on your turn, and you're like trying to draw this thing's attention, and you can sort of like hear it still roaring, thrashing, maybe starting to turn its heft in your direction. But before it does that fully, you hear voices coming from the tunnel beyond, the tunnel at which whose mouth you're currently standing in. You hear voices deeper in. Do you speak Kyrian?
Not yet. Not yet. I learned Kyrian during the Hounds. It's one of the languages I don't know yet.
Oh, so funny that Mercy assigned you to Kirtal without you knowing the language.
I know 4 languages at this moment, and Kyrian is not one of them.
That's so funny. You hear voices in Kyrian. There sound to be 1, 2, and then you hear a third voice cutting in and out. And they don't sound scared or worried. They just kind of they almost sound like inquisitive. Like you hear one voice go, uh-huh, uh-huh, what do you do?
Jaran almost like skids, like comically, like skids to a halt in front of the cave entrance and yells into it, "You need to move now. Exit immediately."
In common?
In common.
And you hear like the voices pause, and then one of the voices says, "Who's that?"
It's really not Jaran, Color of the Hounds of Mercy. You need to move immediately.
What hounds of... You know what, the rest of you watch my kelp. 1 second. And you hear like some moving, because it's a dark corridor. You hear some moving, some like banging around or something. And I think still on your turn, emerging from the shadows with their speed, you see a Vidalcan person with bright red skin, this short crop of like curly dark hair, and like a deep kind of like 5 o'clock shadow. And their face looks really like moist for some reason and slick, and they're picking off like a piece of kelp from like their neck, from where they seem to have been doing like a kelp wrap or something. And they're wearing like this nice, really beautiful like Kyrian cloth armor of like high-ranking Kyrian cavalry. And you even see like a scimitar strapped to their waist, but they don't have a hand on the pommel or anything. They're just sort of like picking the kelp off, and they go, "Another person? Ah, well, okay, well, welcome in. We have kelp to
We don't have time for this. We need to move now."
Why?
And Jaran gestures to the worm behind him.
What? Oh my! Oh, sweet 8! That's what all the ruckus was about? We thought it just maybe brought... So you're attacking it?
We're just trying to move it. Okay, we can explain all of this later. Like, you really need to move immediately. And I think Jaran like grabs this person and starts like tugging them out of this corridor.
Hey, General Ankbayar! General Nurbalat, there's someone here. I don't think they're new sheep or new family or just one second, young person. And this person tries to like wrench their hand out of your grasp. Do you know who I am?
I assume you are one of the Agan's men, the ones that went missing.
Yes,
I am.
On your dress. I am General Kuyag, and I have been trapped down here in this... do you cut them off?
Yeah, we really don't have time for this, sir. Can we please afterwards?
Young person, listen. We're not in any danger aside from the danger you're currently putting us all in. That thing isn't our adversary. It's just... Well, it's kind of like a shepherd.
Huh?
And I think we cut away on that to Obi. Obi, this conversation is drowned out by the roars, and it's far enough away that I don't think you can make out the specifics of what Jaran is doing off there. But you are juiced up with all kinds of inspiration. What do you do?
Yeah, so knowing the direction that he wanted me to go, basically, Obi is going to he's holding on to the immovable rod. He's just going to like swing his body to the left and then swing it up to the right and just like flip up on top of the worm. And I want to just use my movement to like run along its body in the direction that I'm trying to turn it. And then I'm going to attack it because I know like I have these little short swords. I don't think I'm going to kill it. So I'm just assuming that if I cause it enough annoyance, it will move that direction to try to get me. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
Make your attack rolls.
Okay, 2 attack rolls, and then can I use Bardic Inspiration on an attack?
Yes, I think you can. Yeah. Attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I need it. I'm going to need it.
If you need it.
Yeah, I will for sure need that. I rolled a 6 was my highest.
Not me. Kind of hoping that you don't get this poor worm.
Hey, I don't know nothing. Plus 6, so 12. So a D8. Don't fail me now. 6, so 18 to attack.
That would not pierce its armor, but you can deal damage anyway, or like do what you want to do if it gets to react.
Yeah, for sure. Why would you play Transplanar and not do that? Yeah, so I'm gonna do the attack. 6 plus 3.
Okay, so 9 total.
9 total.
Cool.
Damage.
Do you want to roll your second attack too?
I don't think I do. I don't think rogues get it until later.
Oh, right, you're right. Y'all are level 5. Right, my bad. So, what does it look like as you try to like jab your weapons toward it, get its attention, turn it in the way you want it to go?
Yeah, so you see him flip up on top of it, like kind of roll into a run and runs down. And as I'm running, I'm like starting to slope down, and I'm just gonna like basically like drive one of the short swords in and just kind of like slide down the body to kick off at the end.
I think you wedge it in the glowing cracks that Olay had illuminated with Hex. It goes right in and you drag it down, and all of you hear this worm go, and Dorado, you hear it go, ow, owie, owie, ow, what was that? As the worm rips its mouth free of the immovable rod, but as it does so, we see some like gore come out too, as it lets out a, as it like tears its mouth away, and lets out a, ow, 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 oh, dental work, I don't like dental work, as it turns its head in the direction you're trying to get it to go in, Obi, which is?
Towards Jaran. I don't remember which direction.
Towards Jaran, yes. Does the darkness travel with its eye?
No, it sticks in one place.
Yeah, so it tears its eye out of the darkness, and you, all of you hear another roar. Oh, that's nice. I can see again. I have depth perception. As it like turns its huge head toward that that back wall where Jaran is like arguing with a general with an Agon of their own right. But Obi, is that the end of your turn, or is there something else you want to do?
God, you know what? I will do my bonus action to hop away so I don't get trampled.
Totally. Yeah. Off of its carapace, you sort of, poof, right?
So an extra 15 feet away. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Where are you landing?
I think probably like, maybe like back against a wall so I can like have like one or two, like it limit the directions it can make me go, so I can like either go left or go right, you know, if I have to dodge type of thing.
Totally. Yeah, you land with like a kind of like predatory agility, and like it's still wielding your weapons. I think one of them is like slick with worm gore, as you look at this thing start to turn its head. And as it moves, this is its reaction. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the worm gore on the sword, does it look like worm gore to Obi?
Yes, but also, why are you asking?
Well, because to see if he catches any hint of like this strange goings on.
Yeah, okay. It does look like this kind of dark, like so dark it's red, a kind of gore, just glimmering and glimmering on like the edge of your blade, and you feel like magic wafting off of it, magic tensing around this gore, like the weave wrapping itself like a tight cocoon around like the shaft of your blade. This beast is magical. For sure, in some way, and you can roll Arcana to see what more than just Kyrian Deathworm you can get from this.
Okay. 8.
8. Okay, I can give you real good knowledge at a bargain, at a price, which is its reaction is going to be pretty dang bad. Will you take it?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you look at this blood, like slicking your blade, like a name pops into your head, maybe even from like one of Dorado's stories, like campfire stories around like a bonfire, as all the tigers of chaos are like eating dinner. And the name that comes up is Olgwe Korkwe.
I was going to write that down, but
yeah, no.
Never mind.
Kyrian Deathworm. And these are like magical creatures. They're not quite emissaries, but they are extremely powerful and protective. And like the story that pops into your mind at the same time that it pops into Dorado's mind, almost like your fates are linked, almost like there's something about the magic in the space that binds all of you together, is Olgwe Korkwe protect wild animals. They have like herds of horses and oxen and sheep that they choose to defend. And they're usually very pacifist. They're usually so big and scary just to fight off predators of their herd. They're like huge sheepdog, basically, but like massive, like roaring, gnashing worms instead. And they're magical. They can like, their presence can shape the land around them. They can communicate psionically. They can wield all sorts of like weave imbued powers if they so choose. And that's what comes into your mind as you're looking at this shimmering, dark, iridescent blood gleaming on your blade.
Okay.
And I think that's the end of your turn.
Yeah.
And the Ogwe Korkwe, as a reaction, thrashes in distress. It just goes, oh, my tooth, my eye, what's happening? I just wanted new friends, new family. And as it turns its head side to side, the side of its body smashes against a wall. And Sules, as you're still in the middle of running toward chaos, you see like a holographic image of your vision explode into reality as the exact same thing happens half a second later. You see Chaos's death beginning to play out in front of you, like inches away from your fingertips. You see a massive, like stalactite of rock dislodge itself from the ceiling from this distressed death worm, and it begins to pummel down toward Chaos. But Sules, you saw this coming. And for just a heartbeat of a second, you have fate in the palm of your hand. What do you do?
Do I have an action to do something, or am I just continuing what I was already doing?
Just tell me, you can do whatever you want in this moment. We're breaking free of initiative for just a half second here to plunge into you.
Oh gosh. That's a tough one.
Did you make me bargain for somebody else's pain, Connie?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, you know it.
Unsubscribe. Just kidding.
So I don't have any good spells for this situation. So I think all I can do is try to get there and try to push Chaos out of the way and potentially take her place.
You can definitely do that. Sules, you are also sitting on a crit from our donors.
I was aware of that. I was going to use it for this.
Okay, so let's take that nat 20 for you to shove Chaos out of the way, and perhaps also avoid some damage yourself. So with that nat 20, I think you do it. I think the future cracks open in front of you like a beautiful morning star cresting through the atmosphere to the apex of its glory. And how do you just like ford the rivers of fate to find that like 1 in a million chance and pluck it like a thread of the weave and bring it into reality? What happens next? You tell me.
Yeah, as every possibility opens up in a fractal through Sules's mind, they do something that they've never dared do before. They lock into it and they try to move the stars. They try to change fate and choose what will play out. And they know that they will pay a price for this. But for now, they choose a path where they push Chaos out of the way of the rocks, where Chaos will fall into a position where she will not be struck. And Sules, in the same moment, throws themselves backwards, knowing that they can't mitigate all the damage, probably, but will just try to get as away from the rocks as they can.
Okay, you push Chaos forward as you fall back yourself, and then like, I think we see these infinite other realities, infinite other possibilities, I think, fanning out in front of you like you described, like a kaleidoscope, like a fractal. And then you pick one and it snaps into place. And that's what happens. It wipes across the screen, you push forward, you leap back, and the bullet time snaps like strings on a marionette being cut, and that stalactite falls and shatters in that empty space where both of your bodies had once been. And I think you're splashed by some of this residue, by some of this bludgeoning blunt force, stone and crystal. So you are going to take, I'm going to treat it as a success, so this is half damage. You're going to take, that was a big crystal, 30 points of bludgeoning damage
Okay.
as you're knocked backward, but you don't die. That doesn't insta-kill you for sure, and you save Chaos's life as she also tumbles like through the oasis and like vanishes into like some shrubbery as you like fall backward. And now Ole, before you go, before you do your thing, I think enough action has elapsed that Dorado, you can finish the sentence you were about to call out at the beginning of your turn.
I think that hearing the roar, worried about everything that's going on, Dorado slams his hand on the handpan, and his voice booms out using thaumaturgy, and he's screaming, "Stop! It's not trying to hurt anyone."
And I think, like, on that, we cut to you, Ole.
Does Ole understand what an Olgwe Kolkwe is?
You know what? I'm going to say yes. Because in that moment of recognition for Obi flashing, it's like that same, like, interconnected magic that suffuses this subterranean chamber is also pinging on you, right? And, like, almost like as soon as that knowledge drops into Obi's mind, it drops into Dorado's, and then it drops into Sules's, and then it drops into your mind, Ole.
All right. And do I hear the generals?
At this point, I think after this huge stalactite has finished crashing and settled into pieces of broken dust, yes. You hear like the generals' voices, maybe like 40, 50, 60 feet off. You also hear Jaran, I think, frantically bickering with them.
Ole, on horseback, as loud as he can muster, yells, "I come to serve in Kyrian."
And I think like we cut back over to Jaran where you're still like wrestling with this Vidalcan person, and they let out a what? A Kyrian. What? And they raise their voice and they say, "What clan are you from? And will you put your weapons down? This Olgoi Korkoi means no harm."
Clan Algiris comes to serve. And then in common, "Tigers, please. They mean us no harm."
I think in response, all of you can like react to this. So Jaran, tell me, as you hear this conversation ring out, what do you do?
I think Jaran had been sort of like already taken aback by the general saying that this worm doesn't mean any harm. And they, after all of this happening, kind of like take that for face value, and they kind of step back, let go of this poor person, and they step back and look back at the worm. And I think they, if it's okay with you, Navar, I think they sort of try and move to either like scaling the side of the wall in order to not hurt this worm, try and like pull, like collapse the rod and like pull it out of the worm's mouth.
Is it still lodged in their mouth?
The worm had wrenched its head away from it and like removed its own mouth from it, but the rod is still floating there and does bear like a threat to it because it's like really close to where its head is.
Yeah, that's fine, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Dorado, Sules, how are you responding?
Dorado is trying to get its attention, which might be bad because Dorado has never had good relationships with monsters. He's tried he likes monsters so much. He wants to do like a monster sanctuary, but there's something about like his soul, his aura from his family that makes it difficult. But that's not gonna he's trying to like call its attention because he can understand it. So he's hoping that it can understand him.
Yeah. What do you like call out?
It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we hurt you. I can heal you. You just come down slowly.
Are you trying to use its like roaring voice, or are you using your own?
I think Dorado thinks that he is using his own voice, but it is coming out as a roar, like similar to what Jaran was using.
Yeah, Jaran, you hear like a beautiful mimicry like erupt out of Dorado's mouth and just reverberate through this chamber. And I think something about that mimicry swirls in your own head as the bait and it clicks. And I think from now on you can like speak fluent Kyrian Deathworm if you so wish. Thanks to Dorado, like listening to Dorado. And this Ogwe Korkwe like turns around and cocks its head, like a little bit, like a tiny little speck of blood on its mouth and a little bit of blood between its like huge serrated scales. And it turns to look at you and it starts to approach. It starts to like slink its way through the sand. But Sules, how are you reacting?
Well, Sules has very few hit points left. And battered and beaten and crushed. Their only thought right now is getting to chaos. And so they crawl through the rubble, not paying attention to the worm or any of their other companions, and they try to make sure that chaos is okay.
Hey, wow, that was a close call, wasn't it?
You have no idea. This is very important, Chaos. I need you to not fight in this battle or any battle ever again, probably.
What? Put down my glaive? I can't do that. How else am I supposed to protect you? All of you.
You don't have to. I've not told you, but the portents that I have received lately, the last one that I got, it showed me how you die.
It was here, wasn't it? Sules, what did you do to save me?
I did what I had to do.
Are you going to be okay? If it's my life or yours, Sules, yours is the one you should choose, always.
I'm afraid I already made that choice for you.
I am grateful, friend. And I hope maybe one day the tigers will prove to be a real home for you too, in the same way that Tulong is.
I think so too. I told you once that what brought me to you was a vision where I walked alongside a great tiger on a long journey. I never knew why fate pulled me to you, but maybe it was for this.
Maybe. Yeah, well, this great tiger thanks you, and you're right, no more fighting here anyway. Dorado, Obi, Sules, and hey, even you, Jaran, and Ole, no more fighting here. Tigers, let's rally and let's... Ole, are you listening? And Ole, where you sit upon your steed, you are very close to the Ogoi Korkwe, right in its shadow. And as everything starts to calm down, as the deathworm starts to turn back to Dorado, as peace starts to settle across the chamber, you hear a voice brimming in your mind, as warm and dry as a sun-bleached bone. And the voice says, the angel, nay, demands, servant, Do not forget your oath. Now this thing may have fooled your allies' minds, may have clouded their judgment, just like the judgment, heart, and soul of your misbeloveds were. But I assure you, this thing you gaze upon is a monster. It is a blight. It is a blight brimming with power, better served in the furnace of my heart. So I command you, servant. I tell you, I entreat you, strike it down and claim its soul for me. And Olay, you feel power begin to rush through your body, power as bright and burning as Gautanger herself, a minuscule sun, erupting within your ribcage. What do you do?
Run towards this shepherd, hand outstretched. The bright light of the sun coursing down my arm and through my fingers to bestow upon it the curse of my patron.
Olay, your fur is brimming like you've swallowed fire. You are glowing as you rush toward it, on horseback, or do you jump off?
On horseback.
On horseback, your hand outstretched dozens of feet. Now just a couple feet. Now just almost it seems like bare inches away from the carapace of this worm. And the rest of you see this happen. All of you feel like a horrific sensation. Like all of you are on a trampoline that suddenly a fucking naval ship lands in the middle of. So all of you just are drawn toward the center of the gravitational pull as an immense magical presence explodes out of Ole, dragging down the weave, like a black hole opening on the weft of its work. What do all of you do as Ole starts to rush toward the Ogwe Korkwe with a dark intent?
Okay, so I was the only one who didn't get to go after standing by the wall. Obi would have been moving towards everybody. I think in this moment, he's processing that Sules got hurt really badly. Chaos almost died. All of this conversation about stop fighting the worm, stop hurting the worm. So as I'm moving forward, we have this gravitational pull. We sense that something is going on with Olay. And as they're coming forward, I think Obi looks at them and sees this intent, can read, he's very insightful, can read the intent on their face, and is going to jump in front of them and try to knock them off the horse, stand in the way of whatever they're trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, Obi just leaps forward in just a flash of just a pure intent and defense, and just you have to stop what's happening here right now. And I think as you try to wedge yourself between Ole and the Ogwe Korkwe, what do the rest of you do in this moment?
I'd like to hold a spell just in case.
Okay.
Dorado has sleep. And don't think Dorado will put you out like a light.
Okay. Yeah, you hold on to the spell, right? In your palms, watching, eyes wide as you see your friend explode toward this worm with a kind of look in their face that I don't know if any of you have ever seen before. Brimming with a kind of magic that does not feel like Ole's magic. Well, it does, but magnified and turned darkly radiant. Jaran? Sules?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
We all saw each other's visions of home, and we saw this patron, correct?
Yes, you did.
Did we hear the patron at all? Or, do we understand the relationship between Ole and this patron? And also, it is important, did we hear this patron?
I think in the memory vision of home, maybe you heard snatches of the patron's voice from that pact, and you feel this similar exact presence brimming off of Olay, and you're smart, Jaran. I think you can put two and two together.
Okay. I think knowing then, being able to put together that what Olay is doing is perhaps not something that he would have done if not told otherwise by this patron, by this deity, by this emissary ? And so Jaran, still being, I think, like attached to this rod on the side of the wall up top, I think throws their voice, but throws it out as best as they can in a mimicry of your patron's voice, and tells Olay to stop, trying to usher a counter command to at least confuse Olay, at best to get them to change their intention.
Ooh, yeah, I think you do it. You like throw your voice and it starts to reverberate on the other side of the cavern. Why don't you make me... Actually, you know what? I'll just let it work. I think still imbued with like Dorado's own mimicry, your voice comes out like perfectly, like a perfect echo of the sun-bleached skull, reverberating in Olay's other ear. And Sules, what do you do?
I'm right there with Dorado, ready to sling some spells. I've got hold person.
Okay. We've got sleep and hold person. Wow, these are really great spells for this situation.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. Okay, so back to Olay. Your eyes are interrupted from that like purple flank by Obi cutting in, and your hand is outstretched and it's so close to him. What do you say? What do you do, Olay?
Move, brother.
Obi does not move. He is like in the air, like trying to like basically like he sees the power in your hand and is trying to reach around that and grab your wrist. Try to like, I mean, looking you dead in the eye with this pleading stop.
Olay looks long into your eyes for all the fights that we've had, disagreements, fireside chat. Olay stares and listens, and I think then hears Jaran. And it's not so much that he believes it, it's that it's what he needed to hear. That this was a test. He doesn't want to hurt you, Obi. And his eyes soften. Thank you.
You impudent. You face spitter. You no good desert snake. Servant. I tell you to kill, you kill.
You tell me that my love is wrong and vile. And I tell you, Hominy and Leho were the greatest.
You
Under the
accuse
sun,
me.
under every day. You can't touch the tigers, and you can't touch Gear.
You calling me a liar, Ole? You calling me the truth I saw in your beloved's wicked hearts a mistruth?
I'm telling you, I love them, and I love the tigers. You'll have to take your lies somewhere else.
I have made you like the sun makes life. I can unmake you. Do not forget what brought life back into your lungs, back into your bones. You reject me. You reject yourself, Ole. Are you willing to pay that price?
Means the tigers live. It means that the Kagan ascends. And it means your lies are called. Then yes.
Peh. Then die in sunless dark. And all of you see this bright radiance exploding out of Ole's body vanish. Like a candle being blown out by a stiff wind, like a furnace being shut by a downpour of rain, it's gone. And Ole, I think you slump off the side of the horse, which, without a rider to guide it, just sort of like neighs and peels off to the side and trots off away from Obi and the worm.
Connie, if I could, I think just like with momentum, if you're all right with this, like as all of this happens in an instant, Obi has jumped up and caught them, and we fall together off the horse.
And the two of your bodies hit the ground. One alive, one not. And I think at this, we are out of initiative. Like, fully. We're out of initiative. Like, this time stop has broken. Ole, you are on the ground. You're cradled by Obi. Sules, your body is aching. You're leaned up next to Chaos. Dorado, you're looking up at this worm that has fully turned to face you. And Jaran, you're still at the mouth of that tunnel with this Kyrian general. What do you all do?
Obi is trying desperately to rouse Ole, holding him. No, I need you to, hey, I need you to wake up. Listen, Sules, I need somebody, please. Look, I never cared. Okay. I never cared about the bickering. I thought it was fun. It was different than other friendships. And I don't want you to leave. And he's like trying to like move his mouth and trying to just like rouse him from death, having no magic, no way to save them.
Dorado is standing in front of the worm and just sort of like scared that if he leaves, the worm will like move and crush his friends. And he can't see what's going on, but he can hear Obi, and he's yelling. He's like, "What's going on? Obi, what's wrong? Is Ole okay?"
No, it's Ole. Somebody please do something.
And I think Jaran, hearing all of this, walks over towards Obi, I think slowly, because we all felt it, right? We all felt that sunlight leave, and Jaran just kind of like kneels down next to Obi and puts a hand very gingerly, very gently, softly on Obi's shoulder and kind of like squeezes a couple times comfortingly. They're gone.
And I think you feel like this sturdiness, this trying to pour all of his strength into his friend, his sibling, and his shoulders just slump and his body just kind of goes lax, and he just weeps and just doesn't stop.
And if it's okay with you, Navarre, I think Jaran kind of like pulls Obi into like a hug almost, and lets Obi just cry and says, "I'm so sorry you had to lose somebody this close to you. I can't imagine what that's like."
And Obi accepts it, but doesn't say anything and just weeps.
What about Sules?
Most of you don't notice Celeste off on the side with Chaos, not moving so well, but Sules's hands in the middle of gestures for a spell did try to cast in those final moments. And what they tried to cast was Cure Wounds, was Revivify, but the magic is not coming.
Oh, no.
Sules did the one thing that they were not supposed to do, and the stars will not answer them any longer.
In the middle of this despair, Chaos stands. She like grips your shoulder tight, squeezes once, Sules, like comfortingly, like, I'll be back. And then she steps over to where Obi and Ole are prone, where Jaran is looking, near where Dorado was standing, shell-shocked. As she falls to her knees, next to Ole, next to Obi, like checks Ole's pulse, like very briefly, quickly, medically, and then checks the side of their neck, and then like pulls like her hand back and takes in a deep breath. And then when she looks up, her eyes are wet, but tears don't fall as she addresses the worm. Can you fix this? And the worm, looking down, its shadow falling over all of you, cocks its head to the side, and it speaks again. And this time its voice rings in your heads, like psychically, unclouded by the roaring, by your fear, perhaps. And you hear it go, I could, but the price... His soul is still in his body. I think I can sense it there. A beautiful flower growing through the sand. This moment of death has shattered the triptych apart, but it's not too late. If any of you, well, that's a deep price to pay. And Chaos nods slowly and says, a soul for a soul, then. Sules, usually I'd ask you to just cast Cure Wounds, but... And she, like, nods grimly, and I think, like, you get the sense that she knows what you had to give up to save her. A life for a life, for a life. Do it. Looking up at the worm.
Obi breaks out of Duran's hold and tries to like get up to Chaos, but maybe Chaos is on the other side of the body and like stumbles from like trying not to like step on Ole. But like again, it's just like pleading, like, Chaos, no.
Obi, I am an old woman with a lot of scars on my skin and plenty of stories to spare. The rest of you, you're still young. Minus less, maybe. But Ole, well, they've got a whole life ahead of them. I just have one request. Bury me with your stones, okay?
And it takes a minute. There's this moment of this sadness that turns into just understanding and appraisal. And Obi does like a quick, sharp nod and sits back, puts one hand on Ole's chest and kind of like holds a hand there, and then puts another, like reaches out for Jaran and like maybe just settles his hand on Jaran's lap.
Dorado screams, no, that's not fair. This isn't fair.
I'm sorry, kid. But hey, I've always known. Still love you. Farewell, tigers. See you on the flip side. Do it. And the worm lets out a roar. And in that roar, we feel the magic in this cavern stretch, tighten, and then boom, release. And Ole, what is the color of your soul?
Bright, solar, warm yellow.
Golden radiance explodes off of the fur of your chest, and you feel life gasp back into your body Your eyes fly wide. I think even like your bones kind of arch off the ground from the force of this life just flowing through you. Not this strange half-life that the sun-bleached skull had given you, but real, full life. Like color flushes back into your eyes, back into your hair, your fur, right? You feel electrified, and at the same time, Chaos falls to one knee, hitches, and then topples over. And we see for just a glimmer of a second a bright orange soul lift off of her chest and then vanish into the ethereal plane.
If it's okay, I think this time Dorado catches Chaos.
You do. And as you hold her in your arms, Dorado, you see a look of the most peaceful and serene happiness on her face, in her closed eyes. And then we pulled a black on the scene. And when we lift back up, we find ourselves inside a large, royal, regal gur. There is a war table in the middle of this with a map of Kirtal, figurines on top, some of them red, some of them green, some of them yellow, to flag varying ends of political cohesion, let's say. And the interiority of this gur is lined by this wooden skeletal structure with these like rich velveteen hides and furs insulating the interior from the burgeoning winter that's about to come and sink its claws into the Ogumor River Valley. On one side of this campaign table, we find the five of you: Sules, Dorado, Ole, Obi, and Jaran. And on the other side of this campaign table, we find Toqtoa, Kagan. Or rather, Toqtoa, hopefully, Kagan. She is a human woman with a fierce face, jaw cut like a predator, this short black hair pulled back into a ponytail, wearing cloth and leather padded armor of high-ranking Kyrian cavalry. Her hands are clasped in front of her waist, and she's looking at the five of you with a very serious expression on her face. And she says, "Wow. So. I have to thank all of you for the sacrifices you've made for me, for my campaign. I'm sure that's not what you intended to do, but still. As Kagan, I recognize everything you've had to lose, and I appreciate the gain it has caused."
I think some of us sacrificed more than others.
Kagan. It is by the will of Chaos herself we are here today. But we're happy to stand with Kirtal.
Clan Alvaras. Is that right?
Yes.
I'd heard of that clan. I'm sure you know the reputation it used to carry. But as Kagan, I will put forth that no clan is too small, too insignificant, whatever that even means, to benefit from the wealth I will spread across the plains as supreme ruler. I can guarantee you that.
And we will honor ye.
Chaos would be
You have-
excited to hear that.
Chaos was a good woman. I'd only met her a few times. Gone too soon. We will honor her here, of course, forever and always. You all have my word. Turns out that this Olgoy Korkwe is, well, it was upset that I'd taken its sheep. Of course, I'd rounded up its herd as tribute from some other clans I was attempting to persuade. If only I'd known those sheep were guarded, So I do bear responsibility for the outcome of this as well. Rest assured, those sheep will be returned to the basin, safe and sound.
And I'll go with them.
And the tigers, I feel like they deserve some sort of compensation, recompense for everything that they've had to go through.
Well, of course, gold. Triple the amount that was initially promised, at the very least. And horses, sheep, herds, and flocks of your own if you so choose to have them. Perhaps even a clanship of your own. I've heard good things about how the tigers treat your own as family. Might be nice to have that formally recognized. Perhaps the Tiger Clan.
Sulis, how does it sit among your stars?
That is a difficult conversation. But I have one more thing to share with all of you, and especially with you, Kagan.
Please.
If you will humor me.
Of course. Anything.
The last portent I received was of Chaos's death. But what I have not told anyone is that that was several days ago. Since then, every day the stars just seem to be counting down to something. Like the sky is out of portents.
Huh. Well, I'll have to refer that to my best interpreters and prophets myself, but I will heed your words carefully. If a darkness is to fall upon Andake, that's even more reason for all of us to stand united, as an alliance. So, new clan, new leaders. Who's Agon?
Obi.
I think during this whole thing, Obi has not spoken, has been very happy to let Ole speak for them. And when you suggest that they be the Agon, they're sort of just startled, like into the present, and look to you, tilt their head, and like give you like a quizzical look of like, why me?
I'm the curse bringer. No sense in me being an Argon. You see everything.
I think at that, Obi steps over to you and maybe steps in front of you, like in front of the Agon, and doesn't like even realize it, and like puts both arms on your shoulders. Listen to me. You are no curse bringer. What you bring to this is what holds us together, and we are family, and you are from here. I cannot take the place of what is rightfully yours. So I will stand with you as your second, if that is what you wish. But this is your journey.
For chaos, then.
For chaos.
Since you're all bad at talking to people, I'll talk to them for you.
Thank you.
Thank gods.
I think Jaran just kind of leans into Celeste and kind of whispers, "It's been a little hard to tell the dynamics in your group. Are those two sleeping together, or?"
I don't understand. We all sleep together.
Yeah. I mean, I know, yeah, I understand that. Kind of same, but like I meant, do they have like a particular relationship, or?
I would say so. Yes, very particular.
Okay, interesting. All right, cool. And Jaran just kind of like leans back.
Very well then. Ole Agon, rise. And the Tiger Clan, rise. And on that, we're gonna end when chaos reigns. That's been the end of our one shot. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in to Share One Shot 2.4. I've been your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chung. That did not go how I thought it was gonna go, but I loved it anyway. I'm gonna pass along introductions up and over to Navarre.
Hey, I came to get wrecked and I got wrecked. So yeah, I have been Navarre. I am the creator and host of the Secret Nerd podcast, where I interview people about their individual experiences in the TTRPG space. I have had amazing guests. It's basically a Transplanar fan cast at this point. I only have a few people left. So y'all keep adding cast members and that makes it a little bit more difficult, but also everybody is fantastic. So I'm happy to do it. Yeah, other than that, I am also working on becoming a narrative game designer. So if you want to stay tuned for that stuff, follow me on Twitter at NavarreSNP. That's NavarSNP on Twitter. And then Secret Nerd podcast, you can find Secret NRD Social. This has been amazing. This is literally a dream come true. I love Transplanar so much. Everybody's amazing. Connie is the best GM in the world. More people should be listening to this. I'm gonna pass it to Dana.
Yeah, it definitely did not go how I expected, and right at the end there, kind of the same, definitely killed me. So thank you for that. I am Dana Ebert. In addition to the other stuff I do, I'm also the co-founder and creative director at TPK Brewing Co., which is opening next year in Portland, Oregon. It's a majority queer, women of color owned craft brewery that's going to have full-time professional game masters on staff running games for people. You can find out more at our website, tpkbrewing.com. And once again, my social is Mr. Dana RPG, and my website is danaebertpdx.com. I'm going to pass it to Hamna.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I've been so excited to play with this table. Everybody is so amazing. Oh my god. I am a TTRPG performer, and you can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all the different projects I'm a part of. Connie's gonna do the Transplanar plug, so I'll skip that one for now. But on Monday, you can find us over on Exquisite Corpse Presents this channel, where we're playing Divine Intervention. We are playing gods, or mortals who died and got reborn as gods. It's super fun. Kai sometimes guests on our channel, and I love when they do. We're over there at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's a lot of fun. It's very gay. There's two different similar to Transplanar, two different parties alternating every week. You should definitely come check us out. And I'm going to pass it over to Vic.
Hi guys, my name is Victor, and I am working on a bunch of different things. Seek me out. I'm deciding to do soft space opera style Firebrands games, so updates will be coming on that soon. And just follow me on at my Twitter at Villavicencio, as well as hey, if you want to play Thirsty Swords Lesbians with me, I have a SPG game starting up in 2 weeks, and it'll be lots of fun. It's about being stuck in a world that the time has stopped. You don't know why, and people are making factions to try and survive, figure out a mystery, and experience intrigue and be thirsty. And I'll pass it to Kai.
Hey everybody, I've been Kai or Ole. You can find me on every social media platform as Estelle of Imladris. You can find it in the chat. It's Elvish. I made a choice. It's fine. You can also find me next Tuesday for the finale of my Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle over on Going Critical Manhattan by Midnight, where New York is going under a leadership change. You can watch that at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And then on Wednesdays, I'm over on Mercs of Mischief running my own as a Dungeon Master campaign of Those Lost, as a gothic horror fantasy adventure. That's at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. And then coming very soon, I've been producing a podcast over the last year with a bunch of my wonderful friends where we actually play in person, and we have our own 5e adventure coming up called Far, Far Away, a homebrew D&D 5e adventure where the PCs take on the roles of classic fairy tale characters, and the stories you grew up with are intertwined in ways you don't expect. And you can catch that early in 2023. And until then, I'll just be loving on all of these wonderful people and enjoying the next arc of Transplanar. And now I'm going to pass it over to Connie.
Oh, yay! Speaking of Transplanar, yes, we are an all-transgender POC-led dark fantasy D&D show set in an original non-colonial anti-orientalist world. We are basically the L word, but a lot more diverse. Meets the end of the fucking world. So we stream Saturdays at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We are kicking off Arc 7, which is our second to last arc ever, of The Second Stranger this Saturday. So that's in like the 2 days. So tune into that. It's going to be like a truly wild and ridiculous ride. But in the meantime, for more Shoot Your One-Shot goodness, the next episode one-shot that we're doing is going to be this coming Tuesday, October 18th, same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, with the Cosmic Convergence, featuring a gentle tea date with Root Sweet Breeze between arcs 5 and 6. And thank you to everyone so much who has donated. We're going to be raiding someone really awesome right now, no doubt. So use the raid message in chat, !raid. Stick around for it. Tell them Transplanar sent you. Follow them if you like their stuff. It's always so nice when folks use the raid message in chat. Thank you so much. We will see you Saturday. Follow all these incredible performers across their social medias. And for the last time for tonight, Spisho.